Hello.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. Cirrus over there.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Cirrus?
I had fun upsetting you at the beginning of my stream.
Right, yeah, because you were talking about the exact same things we're going to be talking about. Okay, well, so the article that I pulled does have a different track. But yeah, we're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. Normally we do 3 news articles and then do the tweets. Tonight it's going to be, I pulled roughly 20 clips from the debate. That's a hydrate. Thank you, Van Briggs. So I pulled about 20 clips from the debate. So we're going to talk about the debate, and I will bring the clips up as we discuss them. I have them... I'm sometimes, like, I'm not OCD, but I have OCD tendencies in really weird things. Mm-hmm. So, like, in this case, all of the clips are organized chronologically. They are in the order that they showed up in the debate, so we can just, like, kind of go through to the debate using my clips as a guide, or we can just talk about it, and I'll play the appropriate clips at the appropriate times if I remember that that's a clip that I have, which is not a given. Let's do Gandalf. I haven't done Gandalf in a while, but I got a hat redeem, so there we go.
Bragwin said, love how Harris hopefully unintentionally validated lab leak conspiracy theories. I don't think she did. She said that the president... She said
yeah,
that,
the thing about Xi...
Yeah, no, she said that the president of China did not take adequate measures within China.
Yeah, so that was referring to the fact that China was very, very not transparent with the fact that there was a major virus outbreaking in China, and they were downplaying their numbers and trying to hush-hush it. And it's actually... it's been a long time since I read this, but there was... it might have been a paper, but it might have just been an article, so take it with a grain of salt. But I seem to recall seeing that, like, if they had actually had the reaction that they eventually had to COVID, where everything went total lockdown, if they had done that right away, it basically wouldn't have been a thing. So, yeah. Now, to be fair, that this is a hindsight is 2020 kind of thing, where, like, yeah, they were hiding its seriousness when they knew it was serious. But, like, the degree to which they knew it was serious is not necessarily as bad as it looks from our perspective now. Anyway, Naramdaputs sent a bunch of coconuts for a $2 super chat. Thank you, Naramdaputs.
Bragwin says she did when she said China wasn't honest about the origins of COVID. That's been the lab leakers' talking points for years now. I mean, so here's the thing, though. China can be like let's just say the CCP, they can be dishonest about the origins of COVID in the beginning, and it also not be the lab leak conspiracy theory. Yeah. Like they can. I'll say this.
I mean, I'm sure people are taking that and running with it. Like
conspiracy theorists are going to run with anything.
She also accidentally called Trump vice president or former vice president at one point.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised that I haven't seen the right-wing pundits jump on that, being like, oh, she caught Biden's dementia. Yeah, Ella Mayo says, hindsight is 2020, literally.
It's way more funny these days to say that.
Yeah, and indeed. I didn't even think of that when I said it. So, yeah, that's... Oh, we got a Van Briggs in the stream. Haven't seen Van Briggs in a while. Hi, Van Briggs. Yeah. So, yeah, where was I? Yeah, we're gonna watch some clips of the debate. We're gonna discuss it, and then I have an article that is debate related. It's basically the right wing's response to all the hardcore fact checking that apparently happened against Donald Trump.
Well, all of the hardcore deserved fact checking.
Yeah, but I went through and I have notes about that. Like we could spend an entire full length of my regular scripted videos on this article. Rosina, T-Rex arms or chicken legs Keller. I love your middle names all the time, Rosina. Keep it up. I love it. Two things can be true at once. Indeed they can. The leaders of the CCP could lie about its origins, and it could not be lab made.
Yeah, like it's the thing is, we as a nation already do not trust China, and for very good reason. They are not very good to their own citizens. They're involved in their own genocide with the Uyghurs. Like, there's lots of reasons not to trust anything that comes from their government. Just like we don't trust Russia for good reasons. They annexed Crimea. They're invading Ukraine. They're a very religiously orthodox country now, or at least they're trying to pretend they are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons not to trust various of these nations. So it would never surprise me for any of these nations to lie about something, and the lie not necessarily mean that tinfoil Tommy over there is correct.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Thank you for the resubscription.
So Jess is saying it's almost like one side lied a lot more than another with regards to Trump being fact-checked a lot more. So here's the thing. When I'm talking about the fact-check, I'm not necessarily talking about what they did live during the debate. Because, like, yeah, I actually counted when I rewatched for this thing. They fact-checked Trump a grand total of 4 times. 5 if you stretch the meaning of what fact-check actually means.
Where they just, like, said an aside real quick and then continued on.
Yeah, but it wasn't even, like, I forget what the 5th one was, but it was, like, one of those, like, that doesn't really feel like a fact check, but they'd probably count it as that, so I'll give it to him. But then I saw Ben Shapiro did the same thing as me, and he counted 4. So I'm like, okay, well, if Ben Shapiro's saying 4, then that 5th one doesn't count. But here's the thing, though. Like, I listened to the Decoding Fox News fact check of the last debate against Biden, and with the count, like the total count of the number of lies he told, I forget exactly what it worked out to, but it was something like 2 lies per minute, including the minutes that he wasn't speaking. So, like, if that's the rate he's lying at, the fact that they fact-checked him 4 times means that they let a lot slide. And they did. And but we'll get to how the moderators treated Harris, because I feel like it was very unfair to Harris. But at the same time, hopefully this was a situation where it's like, just give him the rope to hang himself, because I've seen a lot of conservative commentators talking about how Trump lost that debate. Like Ben Shapiro straight up said Harris won the debate. He was retweeting a lot of other conservative people that were saying the same thing. So yeah.
Like,
so yep, Naramda puts, I liked the questions. The questions were good. That's not the issue. We'll get to the issue. We're still in the segment that I'm going to cut out for random chit chat later. So
the moderators did seem to do a very good job of making sure that they pressed both candidates with questions. Yes. And it was interesting to me how often when a question would be posed to Harris, she had an immediate response. To quote Trump, it sounded like she knew the questions. It sounded like she knew the questions.
No, she's just competent.
But when
Plow King says Alf is the only alien I know that eats cats.
When they pressed Trump on a question, his response almost always was the default of dodge. He would try to slip away from it. Okay. He was directly.
Fair, she dodged a lot of questions too.
I'm not saying that she didn't.
But his dodges were always, but brown people, though, there's a lot of them, and I don't like them.
So he was asked about whether or not it would be good for Ukraine to win the war, if that was in the United States' best interest. And Trump would only say,
I want the war to end.
I want the war to end, or the war would have never started if I was president.
Okay. This counts as a segment into our talking about the debate segment, because I have a clip for that. Maybe we should have gone in order. Where are we? What were we talking about? The Ukraine.
Do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
Yeah, so he can't say, yes, I want Ukraine to win.
He won't say it's okay for Ukraine to survive as a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
That's what he will not say.
He's refusing to say Ukraine has a right to exist. I mean, to be fair, he would probably also refuse to say that Palestine has a right to exist. Like,
yeah.
I didn't really like Harris's answer from Palestine, but I recognize that was the intelligent thing to say to appeal to more people.
Yeah,
and I do appreciate that she explicitly said she is pushing for a two-state solution.
I was glad that she followed up with that, because when she was asked about Israel and Palestine, the first thing she said was that kind of peeved me off was when she said that this started on October 7th. And I'm like,
no, it's been going on for a while.
Didn't. This has been happening for a very long time.
And then using the horrible things that happened on October 7th as kind of not really, she didn't come out and explicitly justify the bombing of hospitals and stuff, but that was the implication of what she was saying. She pivoted to Iran because that Israel defending itself from Iran is a lot less controversial than them fighting with Palestine. So yeah, it wasn't a great answer from I believe Palestinian people have the right to exist perspective.
Yeah.
Because realistically,
if we're looking at it from the perspective of what a random lackadaisical voter is looking at, right? Because what the point of the debate is not to energize the Democrats or energize the Republicans. I firmly believe the point of the debate is to take the 8% of undecideds and push them in one direction or the other.
Yeah,
that was the correct response to give to that 8% that is in the middle that doesn't know where they're going to go. I think that was the right response. I also don't agree with it.
Yeah, no, but also realistically, I've said it a million times on this channel before, I will continue to say it. When it comes to voting in American elections, you send your message with the primary vote. You vote for the most progressive candidate in the primary, and that's how you send the message. But then when it comes down to it, you vote for the lesser of two evils. You're not going to fully agree with anyone. Yes, genocide is a huge issue that should be a line that does not get crossed. But realistically, the United States is not going to sever their support from Israel, no matter who is elected. Even if he got Bernie Sanders in office when he was running, Israel would still have America's support. That's just a thing that is going to continue to happen. For the foreseeable future.
And Israel's going to continue to have that support from America and this is a very cold-hearted reason, but this is from the mouths of people within the Republican Party, even if some of it's been hush. They will continue to be supported by the United States for two reasons. The unsaid reason is the conspiratorial, we need Israel to be a nation because
that's how we bring about the end of the world.
The seventh mountain says that that's how it has to happen. But the other reason that a Republican is going to be willing to say is that Israel's a trade partner of us. Flat out, Israel is a trade partner of the United States, and we are a hyper-capitalist nation.
Yeah.
we are always going to protect and facilitate good relationships with our trade partners before anybody else. And unfortunately, when it comes to Palestine, there's not really any exports that America cares about there. And so it's you always have to grapple with Palestine as an emotional issue, which is a good, like, grappling with the morals and ethics of Palestine is a good thing. That is a great thing. But when you're getting a bunch of people who are heartless and only care about number crunching in politics, those people are going to look at these two nations in terms of what they are worth for the American dollar. And that sucks. It is one of the major failures of capitalism. But it is also a reality we have to grapple with if we are going to talk about Israel and Palestine and, like, the right-wing voter who cares more about numbers on an economics board than people dying in the streets.
Yeah. Now, okay, so now that we've gotten the negatives from her, because, like, really, her answer on Israel was the only negative from her for the whole night. Pretty much everything.
There was another one I felt was a negative. It was the very beginning of the debate when they were talking about housing and the homelessness crisis in the United States. The way that she addressed that was to say that there weren't enough houses, which is factually incorrect.
I must, that one slipped by me. I didn't notice that on my first or second watch through.
It was at the very beginning of the debate. It was when housing was talked about, she specifically said that we just needed to build more houses. We needed more houses for people. The thing is, with the United States, we have enough.
We need price controls.
The houses are not affordable for anybody. It's a twofold issue. The houses are not affordable for anyone, which is the first problem. The second problem is the housing that does exist, if it is not on the market, it is an Airbnb. It is some kind of money-making mechanism for someone somewhere, as opposed to a place for somebody to live. So that's the problem with the housing market.
I actually find it crazy. So the house that I'm in right now, almost no mortgage. Like, relative to what housing prices are right now, like, my mortgage is like $60K. It's nothing. And so in this house that, with the, like, I fucking bought it for 120K, and it's like in current market prices worth like probably around 600,000. I don't know. But, like, given that, and given how much equity I supposedly have in my house, we're actually, like, we're not, okay, I don't know where all the kids are right now, and some of them are still awake, but and they don't know about this yet, but we are potentially looking to move into a house that is actually, like, it's about the same size as this one, but the layout is such that like, we have 5 kids, and right now there's 3 of them sharing one room, and in the new house everybody would have their own room, which would be ideal, because, like, mine are all teenagers or just about teenagers, so, like, they require some privacy. And yeah, so that would be great. But, like, it is so difficult for me with a house with massive equity to actually find another house that I am capable of buying. That should not be the case. It should be super, like, I recognize I'm in a super privileged position here, but, like, the fact that someone in such a privileged position as I am in, like, I recognize that this is not, like, the reason my mortgage is so low is because my wife died, so my position of privilege is I don't know, that's not necessarily the best way to go about obtaining privilege, but I recognize that I have privilege, and not everybody has this luxury, like the luxury of having a dead wife. God, I'm sorry. It
sounds terrible.
I know it sounds terrible, but, like, life insurance is the thing. But but that was my main thing, is, like, I'm going to pay down the mortgage as much as possible, because, like,
was given the Faustian bargain you were.
Yeah, so, like, my thing was, like, I'm paying down the mortgage because if everything else goes tits up, at least I have a place to live. But, like, the fact Hitchmeister 59, look at Mr. Lucky with the dead wife.
Jesus.
I have a really dark sense of
McGee over here.
I have a really dark sense of humor, so it's okay. But actually, when I traded the van in for my car, like the person in the financing department, I forget how it came up, but like it came up that my wife had died, and my current partner was in the room with me, and the person doing the financing was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and my partner just was like, "Yeah, well, I'm not." I was just like,
Jesus.
I find it funny. She finds it like we have enough rapport that we get, and I feel like the person doing the finance, like I feel like she also had kind of a dark sense of humor, but also she's works with the public, so she can't just laugh at that stuff just in case.
She can't put it out all the time,
But
right?
it's like, it is what it is. But anyway, like my point is the fact that someone is as privileged as me can't just easily find somewhere to live other than where I am now means that like someone who is not as privileged as me, million times harder. So like,
yep.
yeah, it's not about how many houses there are. It's about the pricing. Like my Heidi moved in with me a lot sooner than we were planning on, specifically because her rent went up, and she was paying, and like, if you compare this to cities, it's not going to sound like much, but like she was paying $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, a tiny 2-bedroom apartment.
That's
and
too much money.
Her rent was going up by like $200 a month at the same time as her ex just decided he was going to pay less in support, and there hadn't been any, like, they hadn't gone through the court system at that time. So like it was a combination of like my income is going down and my rent is going up. So like I either have to find somewhere that's going to be even worse than this to live, or I could just move in with you. And it was one of those like, yep, this feels like a long-term relationship. Like we've been joking about feeling like we've been married for 10 years after like dating for 3 months.
Well, there you go.
So
like, if
yeah,
it works, it works.
But it was our 10th anniversary. It feels like our 10th anniversary. It was our 2nd anniversary yesterday.
Okay.
And one of her kids decided they were going to marry us, so we are married by her 5-year-old.
As far as the children are concerned, and they're the ones that matter the most.
So I was shopping with I explained that it was our anniversary, and they're like, well, what's an anniversary? And so I explained what an anniversary was, and like, so you got married 2 years ago? I'm like, no, we haven't gotten married. They're like, oh, okay. You're going to get married though, right?
It's like, yeah, we can fix that.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like I was out shopping for like stuff for dinner for them while we were doing that. So I was like, okay, well, let's stop by, like, they have grocery store bouquets of flowers. Let's get a couple bouquets of flowers. And the youngest one like did this little ceremony thing where like she did like incantations and stuff, and it was like it was supposed to be magic or whatever. And then she handed her a bouquet of flowers and then bowed down to her. It was like, all hail Queen Mama, and now you guys are married. So we kind of got married yesterday. It was adorable.
Okay. Fair, I guess.
But yeah, anyways, back to the debate. Or, okay, Naramda puts this throwing me off again. By the power vested in me by my 5 years of age and cuteness, I now pronounce you mom and dad. Please don't kiss, it's gross. Actually, so she's the one that, like, ever since they saw the Smoochy Kiss episode of Bluey, they've been like, anytime we go to kiss each other, like, no, you must not smoochy kiss, and like all the kids will get involved in separating us. But the 5-year-old decided that like she's a bit of a contrarian, so she's like, well, everybody else is trying to separate you, so I'm gonna like run interference for you so that you guys can smoochy kiss, and then I'll get in on that too, and you guys can like smoochy kiss my cheeks and stuff. And it's adorable. But anyway, back to the debates. The first clip I pulled was what I consider to be the #1 biggest lie of the night. So this is the biggest lie that anyone told in the debate last night.
Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak.
That was the biggest lie of the night.
Yeah, because I did hear each of them say stuff sometimes when the other was supposed to be talking.
Well, not just that. It wasn't just that they were talking out of turn. It was that like, and it not even here. So every time Trump started speaking, it would be not his turn. They would just turn his, like, you'd hear him echoing because his mic wasn't on. He's being picked up by someone else's mic, and then they would turn his mic on so that he could talk, and they'd give him like a minute or two to talk. Every single time. They never once denied him the opportunity to talk when he tried to interject. Not once. But then
Just
Harris...
let it happen.
Harris didn't try to interject that often. She tried twice. The first time, they let her, but it was like kind of her turn anyway. The second time... this is what happened.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond because
No,
the
President
former
Trump,
president has said something twice that I need to respond to.
I'm sorry. We're going to move on, Vice President Harris.
President
Trump, this is now your third time running.
Yeah, so they just railroaded her and muted her microphone and was like, yeah, back to Trump. And I saw a rundown of the time that each of them spent talking. Trump got 40% more time than Harris.
Yeah, and what he did with that 40%
Yeah,
of time
I know
was
this.
fucking
This is kind of a give him enough rope to hang himself situation. But Harris was knocking it out of the park. She was doing phenomenal for the vast majority of the debate. It was great. So like, I would have liked to hear more from her. So like, but the fact that they would mute her mic when she's got things to say, but Trump is just like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll give you a minute every single time. And I timed it a couple times. When they were supposed to have 2 minutes, they gave Trump 20 extra seconds and didn't tell him that like it's supposed to be like a hard 2 minutes and then you get your mic cut off. But like, no, they didn't tell him it was time to cut his mic off. They didn't cut his mic off. They just let him keep going for 20 seconds longer. Harris stopped right at like 2 minutes, and I think it went to like 2:04 was the latest I saw. So like, even like not even with the interrupting, but with the actual like cutting them off when their time was up, they were much stricter with Harris than with Trump. They just let him keep on going and going and going.
There is a world though where that's actually a good strategy. Not only is it the hand your rope to the guy and let him hang himself. That's the obvious one, but also from the position of you needed the moderators to look. I'm not saying this was the plan, right? But from a narrative perspective, having the moderators look like they are on Trump's side more, and then Trump still completely fuck himself in the butt. Like, there's a story there.
So here's the thing. I recognize that was kind of what they were probably trying. So the cynic in me is like, no, Trump gets ratings, so they let him talk more, so they get more ratings. And I get that. The clips I pulled, most of them are Trump talking. There's a couple Harris points, but most of them are Trump. But if you put that aside of the like, oh, maybe they're just chasing ratings and that's why they're letting Trump talk because Harris doesn't get the ratings because she actually makes sense. If you put that aside, then what you end up with is they're trying to avoid being attacked by the right wing for obviously favoring Harris. I counted. They fact-checked Trump 4, maybe 5 times. Ben Shapiro said 4, so I'm going with his number. 4 times they fact-checked Trump. I counted 4, and then the 5th one was like maybe, maybe not. So if Ben Shapiro's going with 4, I'm going with 4 as well.
He always knows what's
because,
right.
Like, out of an hour and a half, they fact-checked him 4 times, and they gave him so much extra time to talk. The right wing is still freaking out about how poorly moderated it was. They did such a horrible job. They were clearly favoring Harris. They're clearly on her side, not his side, even though they fucking railroaded her. And like, what the fuck? So it's like, they are going to attack you if Trump loses the debate, no matter what you do. So you may as well just do your fucking job.
Yeah, I get that. I can see both perspectives on that. Like the one where you don't care about the rhetoric as much when you're dealing with a conspiracy theory person, for instance, because they're going to run with whatever you say, so you might as well say it the way you intended. Like, I get that perspective of you might as well do your job because no matter how you do it, he's gonna fuck off to the races. At the same time, though, I can't help but think of the strategic value in the attempt. Like this is tinfoil hattie. I don't know what went on behind the scenes in any way, shape, or form, but knowing that of the 2 debaters, Kamala would be able to do more with less.
Okay.
But
I'm guilty of this as well, but can we refer to her as Harris instead of Kamala? It feels really weird to be referring to the female candidate as her first name, but then Trump is always Trump.
No, that's fair. I can get that. I can entirely get that. But it did there is a it's one of those things where like I want to be able to say that this was a strategy move, but I can't because I have literally zero evidence of it. Yeah. I recognize from a viewer perspective the weight that it has.
Even in the fact checking, like when I think of the fact checking for this debate, everybody's talking about the 4 times when they told Trump he was wrong about something live. I'm thinking of the official ABC fact check that went along with the debate. That was like a written article, and it was just mind-boggling the things that they would fact check. Sorry? Oh, yeah. It was mind-boggling the things that they would fact check Harris on versus the things they would fact check Trump on. It was like Trump would just tell these crazy, ridiculous lies, and then Harris it would be something like I don't know. It was something innocuous. I forget exactly what it was, but it was like a nothing burger that, like, yeah, she got a little tiny bit of context wrong, but like they're not allowed to have notes with them. They have to do everything from memory. They're not allowed to consult with anyone or anything. So it's like the fact that she had a couple minor things wrong is honestly quite impressive. It's like she was able to remember more things off the top of her head than I would.
And my chat, where is it? I had it just a second ago. Where did it go? Shadow Wolf says Kamala Harris wants to be known as Kamala and not Harris, and she has been marketing herself that way.
Okay, if that's what she wants, then we'll go with it.
I don't want to disagree with that, but I don't know where that's coming from, because I don't.
If it's coming from her campaign, I will absolutely go with that. But for the meantime, I'm still going to be saying Harris.
Yeah, until I have something that's like this is the exact area where she said it, or the campaign suggested it.
Fennec, I guess, is still in the housing prices. Found a $200,000 mobile home. So
the fuck.
Fun fact: part of our house searching, the person who's looking to like our mortgage agent, there was a typo in one of the things, and the typo suggested that like, oh hey, maybe I'll be able to afford to buy this house without having to sell my house first, in which case I can wait a little bit and sell it for a higher price and then buy something small and like have a rental property or something. And so I was looking at like the small houses, and everything that was under 300,000 was a fucking trailer. And now, to be fair, some of them were really fucking nice trailers that, like, if I didn't have 5 kids, if it was just me and my partner, absolutely, I would be perfectly happy living there.
Yeah, but you need to make sure there's space for the children.
Yeah, but so
that makes sense.
That dream got smashed when it was like, nope, that was a typo. You actually, it's not this of a down payment. It's a $350,000 down payment. Okay, I don't have that. I would need to sell my house to get that.
Shadow Wolf said that the Kamala HQ TikTok account would be a big example of the rebranding. Biden HQ to Kamala HQ. I'm pretty sure that it's like an official account. Could be wrong about that.
Kamala HQ. Sorry, I know the right wing purposely mispronounces her name, and I always get it. Is it Kamala or Kamala? It's Kamala. It's Kamala.
Kamala, I believe. Yeah,
because they always say Kamala. Okay.
I think it's I think it makes sense as well, because like Harris is more of a common name, whereas Kamala is a very like, this is like, you know who you're talking about when you say that. Unless I say Vice President Harris, in which case there's only one person I could possibly be referring to. Yeah. Like Trump is a name that it is very easy to identify. This is Trump. This is only Trump.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, let's get to some of the fun things. So first off, I loved that she forced him into the handshake.
Oh yeah, no, this was great.
He tried to do the thing where he pulled her in, but she like planted her feet. Like he tried to pull her, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Did you hear what they said there as well?
So she introduced herself and was like, Kamala.
Yeah, she pronounced her name the way it should have been pronounced.
Yeah. And then he was like, I hope you have fun.
I hope you have fun.
Hope you have fun.
Okay, sure. Sure,
yeah.
buddy.
It was
We
great.
hope you have fun too, Skipper.
And then we get to, like, so the guy who wants to be the leader of the free world, as you Americans like to call your president, doesn't know how tariffs work, because he said this.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world.
Yeah, so that's not how tariffs work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the other countries paying the money. It is the people that are importing the thing. And usually that cost is passed on to the consumers in higher prices. So, yeah, the fact that you are up there complaining about Biden causing inflation while you are proposing a 20% tariff on everything foreign, which would increase prices across the board on everything by probably 20%, if not 20% close to it, is just ridiculous. Like the fact that he doesn't know how they work.
All of the best people at his college think that his economic plans are genius, though.
And that's
how can you say that when all of the best people?
So this was one of the ridiculous fact checks. Now that I think about it, this was one of the ridiculous fact checks because Kamala Harris has been calling that a sales tax, and it's not technically a sales tax. But that is something that people understand. So she's shorthanded it to us. So they've been like, yeah, well, tariffs are not actually a sales tax. It's like, yeah, no, it's not a sales tax. But like, that was one of the things that got fact checked. And it's like, why? No, that's like, actually, okay, if you want to be realistic, it's actually worse than a sales tax, because a sales tax, like, you see the price is $4.99, then you go to the register and, oh, I have to pay $5.30 for this thing that was labeled $4.99. That's the sales tax. The tariffs, the extra cost that's in the tariffs is hidden. You don't see that. You just see a higher price. So that's a hidden tax. So it's actually worse than a sales tax.
I mean, if it's American sales tax, though, that's also a hidden tax because it's not included in the price of anything.
No, that's what I mean. It's like because it's not included in the price, you see that when you go to the register with the difference between what it is labeled as and what you're actually paying. So this is how much tax there was.
Okay, fair. I understand that a bit better.
That's actually, so personally, I actually kind of like the hidden tax model. Because like I've been to Europe, and like in the UK, the price of something on the store shelf is the price you pay at the register. So it's way easier to like figure out how much money I have right now and what I'm going to be able to get with that money. So like, I actually do kind of prefer that method, but every time I've talked to Americans about it, they're always like, nah, we got to know what taxes we're paying. Taxation is theft. So like, yeah, the fact that tariffs are actually turned into a hidden tax in a lot of Americans' minds, that's worse than a sales tax. So the fact that she got fact checked on that is kind of ridiculous. But then this was one of my favorite clips.
And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what
I'm a little bit disappointed that she didn't get to the sharks and electric boats.
Or the, oh, how sad for the birds. I mean, at least the windmills are talked about here.
Yeah.
Also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you the one thing you
nodding his head here.
Because he knows. Because he knows it's true.
And then afterwards he gets fucking
not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to...
So what I love about this is that she flat out said to his face, you go to his rallies, he doesn't care about the American people, he only cares about himself.
Mm-hmm. And
the only thing you'll hear is him talking about himself. And his response to that, does he talk about the American people? How he can do things better for the American people? Let's find out.
Kill that bill, and successfully so. That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
So when accused of not being concerned with the American people and only being concerned with superficial nonsense like crowd sizes, his response is like, actually, I have the best crowd sizes. I've got the biggest crowd sizes in American history. My crowd sizes are the greatest. It's like, yeah, that's what she was saying. That is her point. And that was
for it, hook, line, and sinker.
That was the moment that he started getting really, really angry, and like that was the moment he kind of lost it. But actually, regarding that, it kind of pisses me off how the debate commentators after the debate take Trump seriously. Because like they were talking about his performance as though he went in there with a plan. We're like, well, Trump's plan was to talk about the issues and policy and this, that, and the other, and not get upset and not get it. And like he was going to do this and whatever. But then she got under his skin and he got upset, and so he failed to go through with his plan. But I watched the debate and it was like, this is just like every other debate Trump has done.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has not broken character. He has not done anything differently ever. This is the same as when he was debating Hillary in 2016. Hillary fucking trounced him. Hillary knocked him to his ass in the debates. And like back in 2016, I was a piece of shit. I have videos that are no longer available on my channel that like when Trump won, I kind of like I was watching a lot of Sargon of Akkad at the time, and I was like, feminist, maybe don't do blah, 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 blah. And it was like, no, I was a piece of shit. I fully acknowledge that. But as a piece of shit, I did not want Trump to win, and I recognize that Hillary beat his ass, and I was completely flabbergasted at the outcome of the election. But yeah,
well, the funny thing is that she did win the popular vote, though. Like, that's the thing about American politics. Yeah. It's so backward still.
Yeah, no, I was writing a tweet a while ago. Let's see if I can bring it. I've been trying to be less active on Twitter recently because Twitter is fucking toxic and I fucking hate it. And I'm trying to just like go on to collect things for Twit tweets and nothing else. What did I say? Not go back to before the debate. I'm sorry.
It's just
it's boring watching me scroll Twitter when you can't actually see what I'm scrolling.
And it's dangerous to scroll Twitter where we can see everything that you're scrolling past.
Yeah, because sometimes there might just be uncensored porn. Because it's Twitter.
It used to not be that bad about that.
So this actually comes up in the debate where he lost by a whisker or whatever. So Patriot Takes posted, Trump says he lost the 2020 election by a whisker. I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win, and I got millions of more votes than that, and I lost by a whisker. So I retweeted that, and I said, he lost by 7 million votes. That's not a whisker. That's more than twice the amount he lost by in 2016. The Electoral College is weird.
Mm-hmm. It's also, okay, so I remember that when he said he lost by a whisker, Nick Fuentes, of all people, said started saying that no, there's 10,000 voters that will not vote for you because you admitted we lost.
John says Twitter has uncensored porn now. Hang on, I'll be right back. They've had uncensored porn as long as I've been on there.
Time.
It's actually easier to find.
So it's gotten worse now because of the bots is the issue.
So my alt account, which is what I use to like when there's an account that's too toxic for even my main account to follow, because I follow a lot of toxic shit, I will go to my alt account and follow them there. I'll use that to circumvent blocks, whatever. And I do not post anything from my alt account. I have something like 75 followers, and 90% of them are porn bots. There's like I don't know how I'm even getting these followers. I do not engage with anything. I actually, so fun fact, I can write community notes, but only from my alt account because my Vice Rhino account apparently broke the Twitter rules once. I don't know when. It won't tell me when. It won't tell me what I did wrong. I don't remember.
Maybe you shouldn't break the rules then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Maybe do better about that.
But yeah. Okay, there's an old CGP Grey video where 9 to 10 years ago, where he works out that it's mathematically possible to win the Electoral College with 22% of the vote. We referenced that not too long ago, and I actually left a card in whatever video I ended up clipping out of that for that. It's a good video.
Yeah. So CGP Grey has a lot of really thought-provoking videos. There's that one, and then there's the one that shows that it is with first past the post voting.
Yeah.
You will always end up with a two-party system because that's just how the math works out. Which is why every person that like goes, we can solve the problem with corruption in the Democratic Party if we just vote for Jill Stein.
Yeah. No,
we can't.
No. You really
if
can't.
she just gets 6% of the vote, though.
Okay, but okay, all right, but okay. Back to the debate. Back to the debate. We have to get to this next clip. It's mandatory from this debate. We can't not cover this.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
Someone please tell Homer Simpson that this is happening. He needs to
funny
know.
You should say that. Okay, both of our streams might go down at this point because copyright stuff. But this is worth the risk. This is worth the risk. It's worth the risk. I did speed it up a little bit, so hopefully it won't be caught or whatever. And it's short enough that it shouldn't. But I can't not play this. It's amazing.
We're the sauce on your steak.
I can't hear it on my end at
all. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets in Springfield.
Okay, you didn't hear that, but you do know what that is, though, right?
I know the clip.
Okay.
I know the clip. It was good to silence me because I know the clip. They're eating the dogs in Springfield.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that was Fennec says, "Give me your phone. No more internet for you."
Sylvie says, "What's the clip?" I don't know what the name of it is, but it's basically it's a musical segment from The Simpsons. But to Donald, it's that to Donald Trump.
So your stream couldn't even hear that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, nobody could hear it.
I don't know. No, my stream heard it fine.
Yeah, but your stream, those aren't
in Springfield.
You can hear that, right?
I can hear that.
We're the sauce.
That's.
I heard we're the sauce.
So you can't hear that.
We're the sauce.
Right. Okay. So when I'm saying I can't hear it, what I'm saying is, how when you are when you're fixing audio and you do noise removal and you do too much noise removal, how it it turns into water and then it turns into nothing.
Okay.
That's what that sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you don't hear it because it's a song.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So this isn't a my fault thing. I'm like, I checked fucking everything. The sound is going the same route through that thing as all the other shit. So if you can hear that, I don't know why I can't hear that. I was about to open up my GoXLR app to be like, what weird wonky shit's going on? It's like, no, it's your fault. It's your fault for once, Cirrus. I did the tech right for the first time.
You did the tech right for the first time in forever?
Yeah. For the first time in forever, Rhino got it right.
We finish each other's
sandwiches. That's gross. I don't share sandwiches. I don't even share sandwiches with my partner. She actually laughs at me because I won't share a cup with her because I have weird germophobic shit. So she's like, Your
tongue goes in that mouth. There's nothing new that's being introduced to the fucking cup.
My tongue goes in worse places than that.
Then what the fuck is the problem, you tongue puncher?
My fucking autism is the problem, Cirrus.
Yes, I know. Okay, so this reminds me. When I was doing the HelloFresh sponsored cooking stream a couple days ago, when I was doing the cooking, people in chat were asking like, "Oh, why do you not wear gloves when you're cooking?" I'm like, because I wash my hands in between every step. Like I keep going back to the sink and washing my hands and coming back in between steps.
Yeah. As you do.
And they're just like, when I do it, I have to use the like I use the gloves for hygiene, and I just snapped and went, "None of you use gloves while cooking for hygiene. You all do it because of autism." Not a single one of you is doing it because it's cleaner. You're doing it because you don't want the texture of the food. That's what it is.
So I actually can't use gloves while cooking because there's so many, like, one of my kids is vegetarian and my partner's kids both are super duper picky eaters to the point where like it's like there might be something neurological going on there. Like I know there's that. Like there is a neurological thing where people actually like cannot eat certain foods or whatever, and I think one of her kids might have that. And so it's like it's not a case of like, oh, this is what I've made for dinner, so eat it or go hungry. And like they're also young enough where it's like, I'm not going to make them go hungry. So anyway, my point is that when I'm cooking dinner, there's often like 3 separate meals going on. So like there's what I'm going to eat with my 2 youngest kids. There's what my vegetarian kid's going to eat. And then there's what the kids who only eat fucking chicken nuggets eat.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so if I were to wear gloves, I'd still have to wash my hands, but like, I know you can wash your hands with gloves, and that is kind of the same. It's actually probably a little bit better, but and this is my autism, where it doesn't feel right, and it feels like that's not really working. So like, I have to just like barehand it.
You just got a raw dog with your hand.
Yeah, but I absolutely wash my hands when I'm cooking dinner. I wash my hands at least 10 times.
Oh,
because that's what you gotta do.
Oh my God. So, you know how Donald Trump's been going on about a stock market crash that isn't fucking happening because the Dow Jones isn't going down the way he keeps like pretending it is?
Mm-hmm.
So, apparently, Trump's media and technology group yesterday
was that
at
when
8 p.m.
was he able to sell?
Debate, I don't know if he was able to sell, but yesterday at 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. before the debate, he was sitting at about $18 a share.
It's 16 now.
And it's 16 now, and the exact
oh my
drop
God,
point
that is a huge
during
drop.
the fucking debate.
Oh, that's a massive fucking drop.
That's so
1922.
Funny.
$19.22 at 8 o'clock. $15.68 at 9:30. At 9:30 a.m. the next day.
Yep, just.
That's hilarious. I think that's coincidental because I think that's just timed with when he's allowed to sell his shares, and he's probably trying to sell shares ASAP.
God, it's funny though.
But yeah, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, they did fact check him on the eating the dogs, and this I want to play it because I think it just speaks to his mindset so much.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
I heard
Again,
it on
the Springfield
TV.
city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
I saw it on TV, so it's got to be true because the people on the television.
Be real. I saw
the people
it
on the television said so. The people on the television said so. I saw it on the television.
It was on TV. It was on TV.
Adam Broughton says, I make one meal for myself and I wash my hands at least 10 times because I'm touching uncooked meat and slicing vegetables. Yeah,
that's what you do.
Fair.
Because like if you're touching the uncooked meat and then you are like, let's say you're making a hamburger, right? And you get the hamburger out of the package, you put it in a bowl, and then you start cutting up your onions. If you're grabbing the knife with your sticky, like burger fat covered hand and cutting your onions like that, I don't give a shit that all of that's going into the same bowl. I give a shit that it feels like I'm coating all of my utensils with slime, and that's fucking gross.
Oh, so sometimes autism is a superpower. When I used to work in a restaurant, at one point they have to make staff meals for everybody, and and sometimes they would do extra, like they'd cut up fruit or something that we could just like quickly grab while we are working or whatever, like just grab a little square cube chunk of watermelon, pop it in our mouth as we're like running between things or whatever, so we don't have time to sit down and eat, so like just quick grab and go sort of things. And there was one day where the watermelon, everybody was like, oh, this doesn't taste right, I don't know what's wrong with this, but it's not good or whatever. And the chefs were like, they kind of had sly grins on their faces and were like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with the watermelon, it's just a watermelon, it was fine. And I was the only person that, like, I walked in, popped a piece of watermelon in my mouth, and was like, "Oh no, you just used a knife that you cut onions with to cut that watermelon." And they're like, "Yep, that's it." I was like, "Yeah, somebody obviously. What, you got to wash your fucking knife. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why did nobody else, like, everybody else picked up that something was wrong, but like, how did you not notice that was the thing that was wrong?" Dark Falcon says, I cook curry weekly and I wash my hands 10 plus times. Yep. Also, this was a place where all the head chef and most of the chefs that were working there were from India, and the staff meal 9 days out of 10 was curry of some kind or another. And that's actually, like, I like curry, but I can't eat it anymore because, like, for 5 years I was eating curry every day. I was just like, I'm over it.
Being anti-curry is weakness leaving the human race.
I'm not anti-curry. I will still eat curry. It's just like I don't enjoy curry because it's what I ate every day for 5 years. And like, they were good chefs, so it was good curry. Just not my thing after eating it every day for 5 years straight.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Even if I don't agree.
You're like, okay, so you know what? There's one restaurant in Toronto that my partner is obsessed with, that they do a fucking amazing butter chicken. And it's like, even me, someone who is tired of curry from having eaten it for 5 years straight, like every day for 5 years straight, I still like anytime we go to Toronto, she always takes me to that restaurant, and I will order the butter chicken. Like, the first time I ordered something that I thought wasn't curry because I'm like, I'm over curry, I will eat something else. And then I accidentally ordered another curry that it was a different word that I didn't recognize.
You didn't realize it was curry.
So it's just a different kind of curry. So it's like, okay, whatever, it's still good. But then, like, I tried some of her butter chicken and was like, oh fuck, this shit's amazing. And so, like, every time we've gone there since then, we're like, yep, no, I'll get the butter chicken. Don't like curry, but I love your butter chicken.
But you'll take the butter chicken.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's just called Little India. So if you're ever in Toronto, Little India restaurant, get the butter chicken. It's fucking amazing. And I feel kind of bad about that because on their menu, this is like they have a little parenthetical that's like, this is for people that can't handle Indian food. But it's so good though.
At that point, it doesn't matter though. It tastes.
It just tastes good. It just tastes good.
As long as it tastes good, that's all that matters.
Back to the debate. I found this clip to be hilarious.
I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire them. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him, so he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me they can write books, with nobody else can they. But They have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far.
So, does he think hiring bad people that needed to be fired later is a good thing?
Also, real quick, when he says that under me, they're allowed to write books, under no one else are they allowed to write books, kind of makes sense that he's hanging around so many fucking dictators.
It's not that they're allowed to write books. It's more that they, if you just let them keep their job, they're not going to write a book about how bad you are. Like, I get what he was going for there, but the way that came across was, I hire incompetent people that need to be fired. And given that he said, I hire the best people, only the best people, like that just doesn't track.
It registered to me as like, in other countries, you don't write a book about a person in power after you get fired because of what'll happen to you. But I mean, I'm so gracious because it doesn't happen with me.
But I mean, speaking of firing people,
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people.
Yep.
So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
I love that line. I love it. It's just chef's kiss. It's like the gentle parenting thing. Like, Donald, are you making bad choices right now?
You got fired by a lot of people, Donnie Pooh.
Are you having big feelings? I understand you're having big feelings, but you still have to make good choices, Donald.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like she's gentle parenting him, and it's fantastic. I am totally here for that.
Man,
that's my new kink, is watching Harris gentle parent Donald Trump.
Just watching Trump get humiliated.
I mean, watching Trump get humiliated has been my kink for a long time now.
That's entirely fair.
Watching Harris gentle parent him is a new kink.
A new kink unlocked. He's having trouble processing it. Understatement of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't quite realize he got fired by that many American citizens, but here we are.
Yeah. So now this is one that I misinterpreted originally. I'm just gonna play the clip, then I'll explain.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
I probably took the bullet to the head. I don't remember.
So yeah, that was the way I took that initially. Upon rewatching, it was no, I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things they were saying about me. But I still think this is worth bringing up because the reason, if he is actually sincere about thinking like, oh, the reason somebody shot at me is because they were saying I'm a threat to democracy,
then maybe he shouldn't say Harris is a threat to democracy.
When he says that Harris is a threat to democracy, that can be nothing other than a call to violence, because he now believes that calling someone a threat to democracy is a call to violence because that's what got him shot. But the way that I originally read that was he's like, oh, I probably took a bullet to the head. I don't really remember. That was how I originally heard that. And so like, I have, through this whole thing, I've just been like, okay, Occam's razor. So like the most, okay, somebody said to hydrate. So I need to
hydrate, or
I
you
need
will
to do
dihydrate.
the thing.
Thank you for the hydrate as well, Sylvie.
So the way I read that originally was that, and then there was a hat as well. So I'm gonna do Doggy Santa hat. So the way that I originally heard that was like, I probably took a bullet to the head and I don't remember. And so like, I have not been conspiratorially minded. I have not been like, oh, well, it was staged or whatever. Like, I don't like it just makes sense that someone would want to shoot Trump. And then as it turns out, the guy that shot him didn't actually care who he was shooting at. He just wanted to shoot at someone. Like that's basically my understanding of the situation. And
the president will do, or the ex-president will do.
Yeah, so it was a crime of opportunity. But when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, maybe the blood that we saw was not from the bullet. Maybe that was from, like, he ducked down and, like, scraped something on the wooden floor of the stage that he was on or something. Like, he didn't actually get shot. He just hurt himself in the process of ducking. And it's like, if it was his ear, like, sure, it was his ear. Ears bleed a lot without much. Like, you just nick the thing, it bleeds forever because there's a lot of blood vessels there. So it wouldn't take much to produce the amount of blood that we saw. So he could have just, like, knocked it on the podium on the way down. As, because, like, that was my initial read on that, was like, I probably got shot in the head.
You're just running through all the ways that could possibly make sense.
But yeah, no, it's still, Occam's razor still says that he got shot in the ear. Although, like, if you look at his ear, there's zero evidence of any actual, like, permanent damage. So it wasn't much of a shot. But still, I've never been shot at, so I'm not going to pretend like I wouldn't shit my pants if somebody shot a gun at me and it, like, came so close to hitting my head that my ear got nicked. Like, that would terrify me. I would shit my pants. Fine, whatever. I'll give it to him. But the way he said that had me thinking that, like, he didn't actually get shot. He just hurt himself on the way down as he was ducking. And I thought that was funny. But, you know, if he actually thinks that them calling him a threat to democracy is a call to violence, then he has explicitly made calls to violence against Harris. Anyway, Secular Storm Chaser for $10 said, sorry, watching from the very beginning. I want to say Harris' response to the climate change was very weak, saying we're supporting green energy, then saying we're increasing domestic oil. Yeah, I didn't really appreciate her answers on fracking or whatever. I would rather she just say that fracking is a no-no.
The thing is, she can't say fracking is a no-no. Also,
not as a presidential candidate, no.
Also, even if she weren't a presidential candidate, getting rid of fracking is not good because our medical industry relies on it. Like, our medical industry relies on the plastics industry. The plastics industry relies on the fracking industry because it is the runoff from the fracking.
It sucks, but...
Like, it is unfortunately, as of right now, the nature of the beast of how these industries have grown.
As someone who does not need to win the popular vote, I am perfectly free to say fracking fucking sucks and it should be banned. Harris is not free to say that because she wants to actually win, and honestly, like, if for no other reason than keeping Donald Trump out of the White House, she should win. And I'm fine. Yeah. I'm fine saying that. But yeah.
I can understand that perspective.
Even if we disagree with her. Let's see, where were we? Oh, here we go. This is another fun one.
Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
What?
We're transing the illegal aliens in prison.
So I
have you? Do you know where this comes from?
I don't know where this comes from, but I have a follow-up after you give me context.
I know where it comes from. First, the Morbid Place... I'm sorry. Morbid Palace cheered 40 bits. I don't think it came with a message. Oh, yeah. Kissy face. So, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, so no, the context in that, it's actually not entirely false, believe it or not. So what that comes from is in when she was a senator, she filled out a survey or whatever that was, like, questioning people about, one of the things was trans rights. And it's not that she said, I want to perform trans surgeries on illegal alien prisoners. It was, would you support gender affirming surgery on people that are on healthcare plans that are paid for by the government? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, that's
and people
reasonable.
That are in prison, their healthcare is paid for by the government. And if you are an illegal immigrant who is in prison, your healthcare is paid for by the government. So it's a massive stretch, but it's not technically untrue.
I can kind of understand that. Now, I will say my favorite part about that statement,
are the memes?
However,
because the memes are fucking awesome.
The memes that have come out has been great. There was one moment. I know you haven't seen One Piece, and you likely will never have the time to sit down and watch One Piece.
Probably not. No.
So, spoiler alert for the Impel Down arc in One Piece. So there's a moment in One Piece where the main character Luffy has to go, like, invade a prison to try to find his brother who's been taken by the world government. there is a character in there who in the prison who has the ability called hormone control. Their power is to turn their fingers into needles and shove them into anyone, even themselves, and inject various hormones into their body. These hormones can be a fuck ton of adrenaline, healing hormones, or most usually transgender hormones. There's a point in time where one of the prison guards tries to go against them, and that character looks at them and goes, "Oh, I know what the problem is." Shoves her fingers, or the character bounces between male and female throughout the series. So shoves their fingers into that person's chest, pumps them full of female hormones, and then hands a mirror and just goes, "Okay, how do you feel about your true self?" And everybody that was posted in response to the debate, because they're like, I think this is the only transing in the prison system that we're really like knowledgeable of. Is this happening?
Yeah. Like this is one of those things where like I don't see it happening frequently enough that it would actually be a problem. Is like the way Trump said it, it's like this is the goal, to make every illegal immigrant a trans person for some reason. I don't even know what the purpose of that would be.
Don't know.
Like, yeah, no, hot take, prisoners deserve human rights and medical care, and like gender affirming care saves lives. And even if you're a prisoner, if you've got gender dysphoria and gender affirming care is going to save your life, I'm fine with that. But yeah, the idea, like the way he's phrasing that makes it sound like we're sending all the people to prison and then making them trans, and that will make them Democrats.
They're transing the prisoners like they turned the frogs gay.
Sure.
It's awful. It's horrible. My best friend Tucker Carlson told me it was real.
So somebody,
the man on the TV.
So back to my exploration of sexuality. Someone posted, like when I came out on my main channel, someone posted a comment that was like, "Oh, in one of your previous videos, you were like my call to action for patrons on my main channel is like, I always do ridiculous things and I call them ridiculous things. Like it's something relevant to the video, and one of them was like, my patrons are the chemicals that turn the frogs gay. If you would like to change my sexuality, you can join us on Patreon." And someone was like, "Given that you've come out with a different sexuality than you've been presenting this entire time now, that hits different." Like
somebody did pay for you to change your sexuality.
Somebody paid enough for me to suck a dick, apparently.
Obviously. I mean, what do you think happened there?
I could say what happened there, but we'd both be demonetized.
Hey, look, I learned that it wasn't gay to suck my girlfriend's dick, okay?
And that's fine. This was a fun one.
Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Yeah. That's why the dictators love Trump. It's not because he's actually good at what he does. It's because he's so easy to manipulate. So fucking easy.
Yup. It's just, you do not want the person in power who is buddying up to Kim Jong-un and to Putin. As not the person you want in power if you look at the history of what those other leaders have done.
Yeah. And,
or the present of what they are currently doing. Fuck if I care.
And
like the same thing.
Along the same lines.
Understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
Yeah, so that's one of the most powerful moments of the debate, where she calls him out for being so weak that someone just saying, hey, I really like you, you're a strong guy, can completely change his mind and make him change policy to benefit that person.
Yep.
And, Jas is saying it's a polycule between Trump, Putin, Kim, and Xi. So the thing I was trying to remember earlier, one of the things that they fact checked on Kamala Harris that really pissed me off was when she called, when she said that Trump has exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un. They called that false because we don't actually know the contents of the letters that he exchanged with Kim Jong-un. It's like, okay, yeah, no, we don't actually know the fucking context of we don't know the exact contents of the letter, but he fucking came out and said, oh yeah, we like love each other, we're like lovers in a sitcom, or whatever the fuck he said. Like, he basically said they were love letters. So like, that is Trump's fucking words. Yes, they were fucking love letters. Like, even like, he admitted as much. So like, fuck off with this, we don't know the exact contents. He said they were love letters. But like, those are the kinds of fact checks that Harris got, because she was actually telling the truth for most of it. And the things she got wrong were things that were like, I can understand why you got that wrong, given that you weren't allowed to have notes with you.
It was weird they weren't allowed to have notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that one is, I've never heard of a debate where you're not allowed to have notes.
Okay.
That one's kind of weird.
This is running a bit late, and we still have another news item to go to, and then some tweets. So I'm going to skip some of these quotes, but there are a couple that I want to play. They're short ones. I edited this clip slightly, just disclaimer, but I feel like it kind of captures the essence of the clip. So let's just watch this.
And I think the American people want better than that. Want better than this.
What you just pointed to all of me. Yes, that's it. Stop being all of you.
Oh. So my kids are super duper into How to Train Your Dragon right now. So when she said that, that was my thought, was Hiccup saying, but you just gestured to all of me. It's like, yeah, yes, exactly. That's the point. So yeah, I had to throw that in there. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not play this clip.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
I got concepts.
I got a concept of a plan.
Concepts, baby.
I have an idea of what I might do, maybe, possibly.
I know what
he's had 9 fucking years to come up with a replacement for Obamacare, and he's got nothing. He's got concepts of a plan. Fuck you.
I know what it might look like if I were to do my job. But that's really hard. And
they're fucking calling out Harris for not having any firm policy decisions. Like, yeah, she didn't lay out much in the debate, but like $50,000 tax credit or a tax deduction for new businesses. Are you leaving me now, Puddles? Are you leaving? $6,000 tax credit for people with a new child. And there was something else in there as well that was like a specific policy thing. And then, like, he also called them out for, like, the student loan forgiveness. They tried to get student loan forgiveness gone. And then the Supreme Court justices that he bragged about putting there to get rid of Roe versus Wade said, no, you can't do the student loan forgiveness thing. And then he was acting as though that was a Biden failure and not the people that he put in power blocking Biden's shit specifically to benefit him. What are you doing, dog? Okay. So... yeah, no, it's just a bit ridiculous. Anyway, we're still staying on the debate, and if you'll recall, I was a little bit peeved at the whole fact-checking Kamala Harris thing when she was not actually lying all that much. I mean, like, okay, to be fair, they both dodged questions. Kamala dodged questions. Trump dodged every single question. But like that's normal politics shit. And I kind of get it, and it's annoying. Also, like, this is kind of what the debate felt like.
We want a sword fight, man. Come on, a sword fight you, man. A sword fight you. You a sword fight.
That's not actually what it felt like. I just still have that button. I felt like playing that, so
you needed us to see it.
It was fun. But yeah, anyway, this is one of those right-wing things. Came from Ben Johnson, who, if you know Ben Johnson, he's a piece of shit. He's the 10 Kamala Harris lies that mediators let slide.
Oh boy,
I have notes on this one. I
can't wait.
I have so many. This is the thing that, like I said, I have so many notes. I could do a full main channel video just on this. And yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock, which is normally when we would end originally. So yeah, I'm not going to go into the preamble, but first lie: late term abortion is a myth. They say nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy determined asking for an abortion. Harris dodged. So now this is one of the things where she could have done better if she had more time, because this is a very nuanced issue. This is not something that is like cut and dried. We're like, yeah, no, we don't do late-term abortions, or we do late-term abortions. This is... Late-term abortions make up less than 1% of abortions, and they are usually because of medical emergencies, and they are people that desperately wanted to have the child, but found out that they can't for one reason or another.
And so they didn't have any choice.
There wasn't enough time for her to explain that in the time that was given, because the format was kind of shit. But yeah, then 6 states have no legal limit on protecting unborn children. The rest allow abortion after the point of viability, thanks to a vague and expansive health of the mother exception, which is literally the whole medically necessary thing. Like, hey, my baby doesn't have a brain, but it still technically has a heartbeat, so I can't abort it in Texas, even though me carrying it to term is going to endanger my life. Well, sorry, abortions are illegal, and that counts as an abortion.
Yep. Yep. And of course, in multiple states, this was a thing that like pissed me off during the debate. Was that when the abortion thing was brought up, Trump tried to point out that everybody wanted me to bring it back to the states. Now the states are voting.
No, they fucking didn't. He even admitted right in the thing that was like, they all voted like more liberal than we would think. It's like, yeah, the states that have had votes. Lots of states have not had votes. They just had trigger laws that went into effect, and nobody's challenged them yet, because like it takes a lot of fucking money to challenge them. And the people that are in desperate need of abortions don't necessarily have a lot of fucking money.
The reason that got me, though, was multiple states that currently have these bans are attempting to prevent travel to other states in order to get these. In order to get
to that, Cyrus. This is what most of the fact checks against Harris is abortion related. So yeah, then they say the pro-life advocates found the remains of 5 babies whom abortionist Caesar Santangelo aborted late in their term or possibly after birth at the Washington Surgery Clinic in Washington, D.C. The Biden-Harris Justice Department advised... God damn it, I can't read... Advised the District of Columbia to destroy the evidence. It's not what happened. So there were 5 babies' remains found. They were not found at the clinic. They were stolen by Lauren Handy, who... we covered her before. I remember joking about having like Handy being her last name being appropriate for someone who's anti-abortion. It's like, yeah, if you just give handies, you don't need an abortion. But she stole the remains of over 100 aborted fetuses from a clinic, and she decided that 5 of them looked old enough that they could potentially have been viable. And
why were you stealing
she said that
fetuses?
She said that they may have been aborted post-birth. However, She's not a doctor. She's not qualified to make that determination. She has no expertise in the field. And the DC medical examiner, who is a doctor, determined that all 5 of those babies were aborted legally, which means that they were not viable, or they were not able to, like, it was legal to abort them. It wasn't infanticide. They weren't. And then as far as destroy evidence goes, I assume that just means like cremating the fetuses when they're done with them. Because like, what the fuck else would you do with them?
Like, what? We're not just sitting here holding on to a bunch of fetuses.
They're not just going to stick them in a freezer for all eternity. They got to do something with them. Like she tried to do. Yeah, that is what she's tried to do. But like, yeah, no, doctors say that, and like, nope, this was illegal abortion. Like, I don't know what you're doing to stealing dead fetuses, but like, that's kind of gross. And then, nope, I didn't highlight it for some reason. Oh yeah, so a 1981 Philadelphia Inquirer article documented that in abortion facilities, unintended live births are literally an everyday occurrence, but they are hushed up instead of treated as a problem to be solved. The first thing that stuck out to me here is that they had to go all the way back to 1981.
Yeah, we had to go back, what, 42, 43 years?
Yeah, like abortion techniques have evolved a bit since then. We don't do them the same way anymore. Now, that being said, I actually looked up a study that specifically looked at Quebec for some reason, but live births do happen sometimes with abortion. They are exceedingly rare. They're only likely in the second trimester. That's according to a 2024 NIH report. Now, the Philadelphia Inquirer article that they're linking to here, they just flat out lie about the situation going on. So, like, one of the main cases that they study is a doctor in Omaha who they say that a baby was born living and crying, and then they just put a naked baby on a sink draining board in a utility room with dirty bedpans and dirty laundry and left it to die. And it took 2.5 hours for it to die. What actually happened...
That's better than them claiming the baby came out. Take the fork. It's better than them claiming that.
So what actually happened there was that the nurse that was attending the abortion, it was a live baby. So what she did was she clamped and cut the umbilical cord. They took it to the delivery area of the clinic. They bathed the baby. They baptized it. They swaddled it, and they put it in a warmer. But because it was so premature, it died. Because that's what happens to premature babies a lot. Like, being born premature is a huge risk factor.
They did what they could to save its life, and then it didn't.
Yeah, survive. But like it had zero chance of survival from the get-go. But they made it comfortable. Okay. They made it as comfortable as they possibly could. So what little life it had was at least not suffering. They also say
just sounds reasonable.
Yeah. They also say more than 56,000 abortions took place after 21 weeks, according to the most recent CDC report. I looked at that report. That was the CDC abortion surveillance thing. They actually got that wrong by an order of magnitude.
Really?
The report doesn't give an actual number. They just say that it's 0.9% of abortions in 2021 happened after 21 weeks, which if you do the math on the number of abortions that they reported in 2021, that works out to 5,600 abortions, not 56,000. So they're off by an order of magnitude there. Which,
of course,
easy enough mistake to make, but that's a huge difference.
It's an easy mistake to make until you take it to scale. Until you try to look into how big the mistake is.
Yeah. Then they say abortions after birth don't happen, is a claim that Kamala made that they're saying is false. So Donald Trump cited comments made by a former Virginia governor about allowing babies born alive during birth to die, a position Trump called execution after birth. But like, no, abortions after birth don't actually happen because the actual federal law is that if a baby is alive after an abortion procedure, it must be treated as the patient with life-saving measures being taken, including calling 911 to transport the baby to a neonatal intensive care unit to keep it alive, if possible. Like that is the law of the land.
That is now a United States citizen and must be treated as such.
Yeah. Essentially. Okay. So the Virginia governor quote, which Trump got from, so they'll say Ralph Northam said that if a baby is born alive during a botched abortion, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered, the infant would be kept comfortable, the infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and family desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother about the child's future. Notice where the quotes end there, because that's not what he actually said. Also, this was specifically with reference to a non-viable fetus. In other words, a baby for which it is impossible for it to live outside the womb. So, like, the conversation that happens between the mother and the doctor is, what can we do to make this baby as comfortable as possible for its incredibly short life, because it is impossible for it to live.
Yeah, which is a reasonable conversation to have, because if the mother wanted to have the child and they were not able to have the child because of unfortunate circumstances like this, then they're going to want the best for them possible for as long as they can, which is not going to be a whole lot of time, but still there's going to be questions of like, hey, do you want to hold it, things like that.
So Northam was the governor of Virginia. He is a medical doctor. However, he has never been an abortion provider, so he's never been in this situation himself. And also this quote, combined with blackface pictures of him, came out around the same time. And so there was bipartisan calls for him to resign. He never did. He ended up losing an election. But yeah, everybody, like, nobody liked Northam. Everybody wanted him to go.
Go figure. Go fucking figure. You be a shitlord. Everybody's going to want you out of your office.
The guy that Trump is quoting, or misquoting, when he says that, like, oh, the baby is born and they swaddle it and then they have a conversation about whether or not to execute the baby. The guy he quotes for that, everybody fucking hated him and wanted him to leave. And like he was never in a position where he would actually know what happens in an abortion. But then they say in 2013, a lobbyist representing the Florida Alliance of Planned Parenthood affiliates, Elisa Snow, testified before the Florida House of Representatives that even if a baby was alive, breathing on a table and moving, we believe that any decision that's made, end quote, about administering the treatment of the newborn, begin quote again, should be left up to the woman, her family, and the physician. That decision should be between the patient and the healthcare provider. So if you watch the video that they fucking link here, she answered the question. They asked her, what happens if a baby's born alive? Her answer to that question was, I don't know, I'm not a doctor. And they said, but you're a lobbyist representing the doctors. And she said, yeah, but I don't know the answer to that question because I'm not a doctor. And then they said, but you need to answer the question, though. And
I did.
So they badgered her until they got her to say, like, yeah, no, like the decision would be made between the doctor and the patient. Like they had to push her into answering a question to which she said, I don't know what the answer to that question is. And then her answer was not 100% accurate. And they're like, aha!
Because that's all that they had.
Yeah, no, like she literally said, I don't know. I'm not the doctor. I don't know what happens in that situation. I'm not prepared to answer this question. Maybe, like, you could argue that maybe she should have been prepared since she's a lobbyist for Planned Parenthood. Sure, you can argue that. But saying she wasn't prepared to answer a question is not the same as saying that her answer is the be-all and end-all of how abortion works.
Also, if you're a lobbyist for something, that doesn't mean you need to be an expert for it. You just have to recognize that there are experts that know enough about it. I can say this having gone and fucking lobbied. You're not expected to be an expert in anything when you are lobbying, when you are phone banking, when you are campaigning. You're not expected to be an expert in these things. You're expected to have talking points. You're expected to have notes. You're expected to have some kind of base knowledge. But when it comes to specifics, that is not something that is expected in any of those situations, except by people who are looking for some kind of a gotcha. Just from fucking experience.
Yeah. So she said, I don't know. And they said, answer it anyway. And then she gave an answer that they can use for their propaganda.
Your answer was unsatisfactory. Of course it was.
Yeah. And they say in 2019, Senator Harris voted against the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which requires abortionists to provide potentially life-saving care to babies born during botched abortions. So the thing about that is that that's an updated version of the Born Alive Infants Protection Act, which is already the law. It was signed into law by George Bush in 2005. The 2019 version that Harris voted against, the only thing that it changed was it was looking to add prison sentences to doctors found to be in violation.
Okay.
And this is one of those things that Republicans have introduced to Congress for every single Congress since, I think, 2015. And every time it's failed spectacularly. Like, Republicans vote against it. So, like, it's one of those things where
so what do they want?
It's a PR bill where they introduce it purely so that they can say, hey, this Democrat voted against this thing with a title that sounds like a thing that you want. Like, that's all
Christ.
It is. And then they say official statistics show that 277 babies were born alive during abortions. That number, it's unclear when the end date on that is, but that's like since 2006. And the paper that's published in is in 2024 it was published. So I'm guessing that is from 2006 to 2024, but they never actually say what the end date is.
Okay.
So it's a bit sketchy because it's like I say paper, but it's from the Family Research Council, which not exactly an unbiased organization.
No, that sounds like the thing that I'm going to be honest. Anytime that I hear that a organization has family in the name now, it's a red flag to me. And that shouldn't be the case, but it is a red flag to me now.
It absolutely is. 100%. Yeah, and I assume that's why they didn't say when the end date was of that, so they can leave it ambiguous. But yeah, that works out to 16. Like if we assume that goes to 2023, that's 16 babies born per year that were alive after an abortion procedure, which is tragic. It's traumatizing for the nurses that have to deal with that. Oftentimes the abortion clinics, if that happens, they provide counseling services to the nurses because it is kind of a mess up scenario. But like, let's be real here. Abortions that are happening late enough that the baby could potentially survive outside the womb for a little bit are not because the person was just like, yeah, no, I had sex and I just wanted to get rid of the results of that. These are people who wanted the baby,
really that many
and it's not viable for one reason or another. It's not convenience abortions, it's medically necessary abortions. Not that really matters, but that's the point, that like they try and spin this as though these are just like, oh, my career would be impacted if I had this baby, so I'm gonna murder it in a sink in the dirty laundry room. Like, no, it's actually someone who really wanted a baby that it wasn't viable for one reason or another, and so like abortion had to happen for healthcare purposes. So like it's really
the only option they had left was this.
And like this is one of those things where it's like, I have empathy for the people that have to perform these abortions. I have empathy for the people who really, really wanted a baby, and then after an abortion they have a fetus that's sitting there crying like a normal baby but can't possibly survive anymore. That's got to be a fucking traumatizing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are using it for political points. Fuck you. You pieces of shit.
Dragonix in my chat says, freedom, family, and patriot. If I see any of those three, they are red flags.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going pee now. I'm expecting you to not leave a time bomb for me to discover of you like narrating the thing. Okay, for the record, if I miss the toilet, which does sometimes happen, watering can disorder is a real thing that happens to men sometimes, especially I'm not circumcised, so like there's extra stuff that gets in the way sometimes. I clean up after myself.
Cheese in the way.
I clean up after myself. No, not cheese. I showered today, Cirrus. Might have been the first time in a month, but I showered today.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Actually, did you know that for uncircumcised men, one of the best ways to keep under the foreskin clean is to masturbate in the shower?
I mean, that makes sense.
You're scrubbing.
I'm gonna scrub 11 times.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. I'm not gonna get into it. Anyway, please don't narrate what you think I'm doing in the bathroom while I'm gone this time.
I won't narrate what I think you're doing. I'll narrate what I know you're doing.
God damn it, Cyrus. Fuck you.
Oh boy. Dither says, I'm so glad I was there for that conversation last week. So unironically, when I woke up like the day afterwards, and the first thing in my inbox was Rhino going, "God damn it, Cyrus," just or something to that effect. Let me see exactly what it was, because I remember being very confused for just about a second, because I didn't remember doing it for just a little bit of time. It was "God damn it, Cyrus, why would you do that?" So I had to go, what? The narration while I was peeing. I'll have you know I always wipe up. Like, oh, okay. So the issue that you had was not that I narrated fan fiction of you peeing. The problem you had is that I was inaccurate with the fan fiction. Van Brigg says, do it, Cyrus. Miralana says, don't just narrate it, but do it in song. There once was a rhino who grabbed his junk. He tried to throw it. Like, I can't ad-lib singing. I can't ad-lib singing very well. I might be able to. God, I need like a little bit of prep if I was going to sing about that shit. Right? Is it a really good shower and you can rinse at the same time? Does this mean you're a fan of Rhino peeing? No. Mira Fern Captain Rhino's chat says that was the worst ASMR ever. Oh boy. See, at this point, says Sumbrinus. Fedix says you need to improve your improv skills. Look, if I were to actually narrate the singing, let's say for a minute that I was able to narrate the singing, right? If I were able to do it, I would technically be doing the exact thing Rhino didn't want me to do. So I'm not going to do that, as funny as it might be. Hi.
What's funny?
I was asked to narrate what you were doing in the bathroom, but to do it in song.
So, fun fact, I discovered that one of the kids had not flushed after pooping just now.
Oh, so they Kent Hovind. Oh, well. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Kent went to he went to some other like TV personality in a different country's
Zada Hagal says scrub-a-dub-dub.
Went to some other TV personality's TV program in another country, and when Ken Hovind sat down, the other guy sat down after the break and just went, "So I have to ask you a question, Mr. Hovind. If you leave something in a toilet in America, do you not flush it?" And just Kent, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm saying, if you happen to leave something in the toilet, let's say it's not in your house and you're in America, is it customary in America to not flush your own excrement down the toilet? And Kent's just getting like watching Kent Hovind get visibly flustered because somebody's making him talk about his dookie.
I mean,
is wonderful.
Godless Engineer did that with whale penises. And what's funny is that Hovind brought it up first. So, John just ran with it.
Jasper said, when was this? So I don't remember the exact moment that it happened or the exact clip, but I can tell you who does. There is one member of our friend group who is a Hovind aficionado, and that would be Paul. 100% I bet you Paulogia knows exactly when and where that moment happened.
He is obsessive enough that, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so lie number 3 of 10 that they say is that pro-life protections prevent miscarriage care. So referring to Harris talking about women being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail. Now, notice this is a very short section compared to the other one. They just say, no pro-life law in the nation prohibits doctors from caring for miscarriages, which is technically true. However, they are so vague that the doctors don't know what counts as caring for a miscarriage when the health of the mother is in danger versus what would count as an abortion that wasn't necessary. And so a lot of doctors are like, I need to keep my medical license, and I don't know what the rules are here, so I'm just going to say, no, I don't do any abortions. So yeah, they don't explicitly prohibit caring for miscarriages, but the actual real world effect of these laws is that they do. And the example she gave of a woman being told she had to wait until her life was in enough danger to qualify for an abortion was a real example. In fact, I can't even tell you which example she was thinking of because there are so goddamn many of them that it's hard to pinpoint because she didn't get specific enough with the details. Was it the person who was told to go wait in her car? Probably, because she mentioned going to the car, but then there was a woman in Texas who, the baby died, but still technically had a heartbeat, or her water broke, but the baby wouldn't be viable at that point, but she had a heartbeat.
Any situation.
And these were people that were like, every single case, it was someone who was desperate to have children because they wanted children, but something went wrong with the pregnancy and an abortion was the healthcare option that was necessary. And the doctors were like, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to do this, so I'm not going to do this.
Because that's the safe thing to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. So,
which sucks.
Well, in Texas, providing an abortion could potentially get you sentenced to life in prison.
Yep.
And similar stories have come from Oklahoma, Florida, and Louisiana. Any frickin' red state that has anti-abortion laws on the books, you can find stories like this in. I'm going to quote, there was a 2023 paper. The link's not in the description, but if you do search for PMID, that's PubMed identification number, it's 38115843. You'll find the paper for this. And so what they say is maternal death rates in abortion restriction states were 62% higher than in states with greater abortion access. So anti-abortion laws cause
people.
They kill people.
Yeah, they just kill people.
They just kill people.
There's
People
no
die.
ifs, ands, or buts. It ends in death.
Pro-life protections prevent miscarriage care. Yes. Pro-choice protections keep people alive. And they also lower the number of abortions. So like, remember that 1981 paper? Or, it wasn't a paper, it was a news article that, like, lied about the babies being put on, like, a draining board in the dirty linen closet.
That one I don't remember at all. Jesus.
I talked about that, like, 10 minutes ago.
The one you talked. I thought this.
Yeah,
was
where like the actual thing was they swaddled the baby and put it in a warmer and kept it comfortable. But the people writing in 1981 were like, they put him in a dirty linen closet where they empty bedpans.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely not true. So at that time, there were like over 1 million abortions performed per year. Today, there's less than 600,000 performed per year, and the population's gone up. So per capita abortion rates have plummeted as abortion access has increased. So, like, if you want fewer abortions,
you just give
provide
better abortion
sex
access.
ed, provide women's health clinics, provide, like, if you provide for all these, like, all the stuff that Planned Parenthood does, provide all that shit, and abortion numbers actually go down. And they have been consistently going down.
But they don't want that because that is counterintuitive to their narrative.
Yeah. And then lie number 4 that she apparently told was Donald Trump would have the government monitor pregnancies and miscarriages. So this is one of those things.
But that's the thing that they're trying to do.
So this is one of those things where, technically speaking, it doesn't explicitly say in Project 2025 that they would do that. Now, they don't talk about the Comstock laws that Project 2025 absolutely says that they would try to enforce again. They just talk about how Project 2025 wants to just, like, be more strict about the abortion surveillance statistics, which, like, fine, whatever. But they also want to enforce the Comstock laws, which They would monitor mail that's sent through USPS, and it would basically render the mailing of abortion medication illegal. But also, a lot of the anti-abortion laws that are already on the books have provisions for allowing law enforcement to find out whether or not you were pregnant in the course of their investigation to determine whether or not you had an abortion. So, like, it might not be, like, actively monitoring people's pregnancies to see whether or not you are about to have an abortion, but if you have an abortion, they could look into, like they could be investigating whether or not you were pregnant. And looking at social media, looking at fucking, like, this is one of those,
so
like, the period tracking apps. If
it's one of those things where it's not expressly said,
Yeah.
but if you look at the actions they're taking, the logical next thing that happens is exactly what you described.
Under these laws, it would be perfectly legal for police to subpoena records from some of the period tracking apps to see whether or not you missed a period, to determine whether or not you had an illegal abortion. So, like, yeah, no, they're not explicitly saying we are going to monitor your pregnancy, but there are provisions in the law and protections for law enforcement that effectively render that monitoring whether or not people are pregnant. So, like,
it's very, very agitating when they go, it's like when somebody goes, they present these 3 ideas to you, right? Pedophiles are bad and should be killed. Idea 1. Idea 2, trans people are pedophiles. And idea 3, they don't need an idea 3. They only have to have the 2.
They connected the 2, yeah.
And then they'll go, no, you're wrong. We're not saying we need to kill trans people. Why would you ever even suggest that? That would be horrible. They're like, but you said we should execute the pedophiles. Yes. And you think that being trans around kids is a form of pornography. That one's listed in Project 2025. It's on page 38. Because I had this conversation last night with somebody, so I remember the exact page it was on. It's on page 38 of the document, page 5 of the actual written word. They want to label being transgender as being pornographic. Okay, cool. What would you consider it? Would you consider it bad? Would you consider it pedophilic to force a child to view pornography? Well, yes, of course. Okay, cool. So if you agree with those things, are you saying you want to kill trans people because them existing around a child is pornographic, therefore pedophilic, and therefore they should die? Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. But you said all of those things. In that order, you just didn't string them together.
What if the child is trans? Because, like, I'm gonna level with you. Youngest kid of my partner, probably trans. She's 5, so, like, this is one of those things where it could just be a kid doing kid things, because she is also a cat most days.
Okay.
And, like, I don't expect that she's going to remain a cat. However, according to all the experts, according to all the fucking people we have, like, all the experts that we have spoken to directly, as well as all the research that I've done, hi Saki, is basically just let them be.
Are you doing refills? Water, thank you.
It's basically just let them be who they want to be, and, like, worst case scenario, they change their mind at some point. Or they don't. Like, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. The stakes are so fucking low. But, like, would that count as pornographic? Is letting her be a her when she's 5?
And if that counts as pornographic, and if that child counts as trans, like, it's a terrifying set of ideas to string together, but they're stringing them together. They just don't want to admit they're stringing the ideas together. It's the same fucking shit. It's the same shit here when, like, all of the things are laid out, all of the ways in which women would be tracked their period apps would be tracking them. They're like, no, that's not what we want to do. I mean, it's gonna happen.
What we would do.
It's gonna happen, but it's not what we want. Why would we ever want that?
We didn't say we'd do that. It's just what we're going to do.
It's just happening, you know.
In a similar vein, they also so the national abortion ban. So they say again, this is a really short section because realistically they can't really say anything against us. But so Harris said if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. J.D. Vance said that Trump would sign a national abortion ban. When pressed on it, Trump threw J.D. Vance right the fuck under that bus. It was like, I don't talk to the guy that I chose to be my vice president.
I don't talk to J.D. Vance. Why don't you talk
to your vice president?
Pick? What?
Why did you pick him as vice president if you don't think he's someone worth talking to? And then J.D. Vance is in the back going like, okay, good. How long have you worked here? Okay, good. I will continue walking.
Okay, good. He sounded like a non-human in that fucking sweet shop.
Did you see the fucking TikTok of the guy that was like, he was being JD Vance going through a park talking to people? And be like,
I have not seen it.
How long have you been walking? Okay, good. Moving, and like he wouldn't give them a chance to answer, and it's. Let me see if I can fucking find it.
I did not see that, but that sounds amazing. Yes, I am real, man. You want to go skateboards? Do you want to go skateboards? Jesus Christ. Oy, oy, oy. In that case, I imagine they call the parents or teachers. Yeah.
Found it.
Thank you, love.
Can you hear this?
Hi, Kat. Hi, Rhino.
Can you hear that?
I can hear that. Yes.
Okay.
Run to the car. Okay, good.
Thank you for the hydrate, mathematician dragon.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
That's so great.
Oh my God. When I went over that moment, it seemed like he's never spoken to a human being before.
And so here's the thing. I watched that clip. I watched him ordering the donuts without the sound. I just read the subtitles. And then I saw that clip of that guy being like, okay, good, whatever. And I was just like, okay, he's exaggerating. That's not actually how bad it was. And then I watched the clip with sound on. I was like, no, he was spot fucking on. He nailed it.
Okay, good.
Oh, apparently the fucking... God damn it. Apparently you could hear it, but my chat could not.
Oh. Okay, good.
Oh, no. We're going to have to... Oh.
We're going to have fun, everyone.
We're going to have to watch that again.
Okay, good. So are we reading a Fox article right now, or is it straight from a think tank? God, thinking is a really hard thing that some of these people
this is from Benny Johnson, I think. Let me just add this as an audio source so you guys can actually hear it. Which OBS tells me that that's in beta. Okay.
I like that everybody in my chat. Okay, good.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you have to watch this hilarious video.
You know, a leisurely stroll in the park as a human does, and I thought I would interact with some other humans that I come across. Here comes one now. Hello, I'm JD Vance. I'm running for vice president. Hi, it's nice to meet you. So how long have you been walking for? Today or in general? Okay, good. Wait. I think this is going pretty good so far. Oh, I spot a motherly figure with a smaller human being. Hi, I'm JD Vance. How old are you, little girl?
I'm 8.
8? Oh, wow. I was 8 once. How about you, Mom? Were you ever 8?
Was I ever 8?
Okay, good.
Mom, can we go home? Yes, honey. Run to the car.
Oh, would you look at that? Another human being with a smaller creature attached to a leash. Hi, I'm JD Vance. What's that?
He's a... Are you asking what kind of breed he is?
For how long?
For how old he is or how long I've had him?
How long have you been walking?
I'm sorry, Are you asking how our walk?
Okay, good. I love to mingle with the people. Here comes another one now. Hi, I'm JD Vance. How did you install those little wheels under your feet?
You mean my rollerblades?
Okay, good. So how long have you been walking?
Walking where?
Okay, good. My vessel is starting to crave food. I think the next person that I encounter, I'm going to ask them where a donut shop is. Hi, I'm JD Vance, vice president running. Nearest donut shop location, please.
That'll be Beanie's on 7th Street.
JD Vance rerouting. Thanks. Okay, good.
All right, have a good day.
That's Sam Content. I see what he did with the last name there. But yeah, no, that's just brilliant. Like I was saying, like when I saw him in the donut shop with the captions that did not fully capture everything, but like, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, surely he's exaggerating with the okay goods and all that. I'm like, nope, that's actually how he said it, and that's nope, that's just how he is. So it's amazing. So yeah, anyway, Harris said that Trump would not veto a national abortion ban if it came to his desk. Trump threw Vance under the bus for that one because Vance said yes, he would. He would not veto. He would totally sign a national abortion ban, and Trump was like, "I can't speak to what JD Vance thinks about my positions because I never talked to him." And then he never actually said whether or not he would veto it. So clearly, this is him just trying to play both sides. He's trying to convince the pro-lifers that he's pro-life. He's trying to convince the pro-choicers he's pro-choice, and without committing to anything. But very obviously, like if you look at his actual positions on the things that he's actually done, he would totally sign an abortion ban. He would totally sign it. Absolutely. But they're trying to say that she lied when he and this was another thing that on the actual ABC fact check, they were like, oh, well, we actually don't know. Like they tried to spin it as though he wouldn't actually sign it, but it's like, no, the best you can do here is say that she was speculating about what he would do if he was elected. That's not a lie. That's a speculation.
Okay, good.
Rerouting.
JD Vance rerouting.
And then the whole Trump called for a bloodbath thing. So in context, the bloodbath statement did seem to be about losing jobs to China, but there was enough ambiguity in the statement that it could very easily be interpreted as a call to violence. And given his history of making ambiguous statements that his supporters actually interpret as calls to violence that they follow through with, I feel like concern about that rhetoric is pretty justified.
Just imagine Nick Fuentes sitting there going, and the big guy said that there's gonna be a bloodbath. And I think he's right. And I think we should definitely do something about that. After all, the Jews, it just...
So my point here was, normally speaking, I would give someone the benefit of the doubt, and in context, yes, that quote is not necessarily calling for violence. However, in the context of the fact that he has actually called for violence, and people have done violence in his name on numerous occasions in the past, I'm less willing to give him the benefit of the doubt here, so I'm not going to call that a lie.
Yup.
Number 7, are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? Then they just complained that she never answered that question, which I agree. She didn't answer that question. She dodged it. like politicians do. Could she have done better there? Probably. That ain't a lie, though. That's just a question dodge. You think Trump answered a single fucking question all night? No, absolutely not. He just complained about immigrants anytime he was asked any fucking thing, whether it was about immigrants or not. Zaras says there's another guy that kind of looks like Vance that does similar skits. He's great. Yeah, I don't know what the other guy's name is.
Okay, good.
But yeah, exactly.
That's just that. I'm just gonna keep doing that for the rest of the night because it's perfect.
Yeah, it works. So yeah, this isn't even a lie. This is list padding. So it's like, if you're having to pad your list when you're only trying to come up with 10 lies in an hour and a half debate,
all you have to do is just say 8.
Like politicians lie. That's what their thing is. Like, whether you like them or not, like whatever politician you're rooting for, if it's someone you like or someone you don't like, they probably lie a bunch. Like Harris's answers on fracking lead me to believe that she does not actually believe what she's saying necessarily. She's just trying to say what will get her the most votes. That would be a lie. Now I can't really back this up with firm things yet because she's not president yet, and this is one of those things that would kind of need to be followed through on in order to be called a lie. But it's like that's one of those, like, all politicians lie, even the ones you like.
Yeah.
So, but like, this isn't even a lie. So what this says to me is that the right-wing nut jobs who put this list together couldn't even think of 10 things that Harris lied about.
They needed to
pad it. They had to pad the list. Because if you'll notice, like, 4 of the things in the beginning were all just abortion. So like, that was all one thing, really.
Stretching the abortion thing for as far as they can get it to go.
So they are desperate to find lies that she supposedly told. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's plan. Harris said it was his plan. Trump replied with, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. Saying they were out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it. Which, okay, assuming he's telling the truth there, do you really want a president who's admitting to keeping himself ignorant on purpose? I don't want to know what the super important thing to do with the election this year is, even though I want you to elect me in the election this year. I don't want to know the details about the super duper important thing in this election. How does that say this is someone you should vote for?
When Jassa in my chat went, the page number, and like, yeah, because
you're stuck in it.
I don't want to. So I have been stuck in my project to cover the entire thing. I'm stuck on like page 170 right now. And I can't go further because there's now a fucking wall in my brain for trying to go further in the document.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that's like, yeah, but it's so easy. You just open it up, you read it to stream, and you give context to what's in there. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter that it's easy. My brain just fucking hates it.
What do you mean easy, though? Like, technically, this would have been an easy thing for me to respond to, but I went and like made notes and did research and read papers and fuck. What the fuck am I doing here, Cyrus? It's 10:37. We are normally wrapping up by now, and we haven't even started the fucking tweets.
I guess I'll say it this way instead. It's not that it is easy. It's that it can be easy. Your brain won't let you make this easy, and my brain won't let me make because like fair. I would begin every single video with, by the way, here's the latest thing that these dumbass politicians have said about this thing. Now let's get into the context for for going over more of it.
So anyway, with regard to it not being his plan, like, it's not his plan in the sense that he wrote it, because nobody's saying he wrote it. But the Republican platform that he's running on right now is copied straight out of Project 2025. And a bunch of Trump's former staff that are not the ones that have said he's a disgrace, the ones that actually stuck around with him to the end, they're the architects behind Project 2025. And it is his platform. Like, if you look at his platform, it's all stuff that can be found in Project 2025. So, like, him claiming ignorance here, at best, exposes him as an incompetent puppet that's being manipulated by his staff. That's the best case scenario here, is that he's incompetent and being manipulated.
I mean, that's what we've basically assumed is the case with his with the other dictators that he's been talking about and like lapping up. Like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like
is that what he wants us to believe about him? Because
he surrounds himself with all of the best people, right?
Like, and worst case scenario is he's just lying and he actually does have a hand in crafting the plan. But I don't think he's clever enough for that. I think he just wants the power, and if giving the Project 2025 people what they want is what he thinks will give him power, then he's willing to do that.
Yep.
Then we got the excuse me. Got the Trump praise neo-Nazis and white supremacists. This gets into the whole technicality of like, yeah, no, he said there were very fine people on both sides, and then like 5 minutes later he went on to say like, oh yeah, you know, all neo-Nazis and white supremacists should be condemned. But the problem is, of the both sides, one of the sides was entirely neo-Nazis and white supremacists. So if you said there were very fine people on both sides, sure,
you included the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists.
I would have way more respect for the dude if he was just like, yeah, no, I misspoke there. The people on that side were actually bad people. But he didn't. He's trying to pretend like there were people on that side that were not neo-Nazis or white supremacists. But that's who they were. So you can't say there are very fine people on both sides when one of the sides is neo-Nazis and white supremacists, and then just be like, oh yeah, no, I don't mean the neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Then you don't mean both sides. You mean one specific side. It's the not neo-Nazi and white supremacist side. But because you said both sides, one of the sides was those people.
Yep.
That's how it is.
There are good people on both sides. You're going to include the ones that are bad.
But because Snopes did a fact check that treats Trump with all the nuance in the world, when everybody else, as soon as they make a slight slip up, they get jumped on for some fucking reason.
Yep.
They all get to link to that Snopes article and be like, yeah, no, he was actually not talking about white supremacists, even though that's the only people on that side. And then was that number? Yeah, that was number 9.
So we're at Trump
number
is
10.
Above the law.
Trump is above the law. They don't even deny this one.
I would hope not after the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah, so that's what this is about. Is that Harris pointed out that with the Supreme Court ruling, the president is above the law. And like the SCOTUS literally ruled that for official acts, the president is above the law. And the quote that they pulled here, where it's John Roberts saying the president enjoys no immunity for his unofficial acts, and not everything the president does is official. The president is not above the law. All that says is that he is above the law for official acts. He's not above the law for unofficial acts. When you actually look at the rulings as to what is an unofficial act, we don't fucking know. It's so vague. Excuse me.
It's so vague that it could be an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things given
in the dissent.
In
the dissent of this very ruling, they were like, you could poison your attorney general. And that would be an official act that you can't even investigate because it's an official act. So, yeah, it's just something you can do. So, yes, he is above the law, according to the Supreme Court. And the quote that they cited here doesn't say that he's not. Just says for unofficial acts, but then when you actually dig down to the nitty-gritty, what is an unofficial act? Fucked if anyone knows.
Yeah, it's just...
But anyway,
it's insane to me that that's even number 10, because that's not a lie.
That is how far they had to dig to even pretend that Kamala was lying at even a fraction of the rate that Trump was lying.
Why not just say the 5 things that Harris lied about? Like, if you accept that there were 4 fact checks on Trump, then saying the 5 things Harris lied about already gives you more things than Trump. You didn't need to stretch it. You didn't need to make it bigger. You didn't need any of that shit. You didn't need to turn this into a bad version of Hamburger Helper where you're stretching every dollar you've got to feed your poor people that desperately want to hear your bullshit, and it's the only thing that gives them sustenance. You don't need that.
Yeah.
They don't need filler shit. Okay.
Ooh.
Like Jesus Christ.
I have so many ooh-woos from you. So many ooh-woos.
I began my segment on the debate with the stuff that I didn't agree with that Harris said. And I had the same issue when I was watching the debates. I was watching it this morning while making breakfast. I was like, well, I got time to do this shit. This is when I'll go ahead and watch the debate, because I wasn't home when the debate happened. So, like, there are people who are rooting for Harris who already do not like a lot of the things that she did or said in the debate. You don't need to make yourself look like a fucking liar to have those things.
I'm running out of hats. I'm going to have to rotate through them. Okay, we're going back to Gandalf. Okay, moving on to some tweets. We're starting with Benny Shaps.
Oh boy!
Ben, a wet vagina is a sign of disease, Shapiro, says the moderators of the story of the evening, and it isn't a good story. So, what's hilarious to me is, like, I pointed out how unfair the moderators were being in Trump's favor, and Twitter was just alive all throughout the debate with right-wing nutjobs complaining about how unfair the moderators were being to Trump. Like, did I play the clip on the actual show? I don't remember whether that was a behind the scenes thing, but like where the moderators interrupted Harris.
I think you did it on the show
to like railroad her.
But maybe play it again here. Like, the context is still useful.
So, like, the one fucking time that Harris, so Trump all night, he interrupted, and as soon as he interrupted, his mic would be unmuted and the moderators would just let him talk. The one time Harris tried to interrupt, this is what happened. Oh, no. Need to actually go to here. Where am I going?
I just need
Lindsay,
to respond
President
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump,
president has said something twice that I need to respond to.
I'm sorry. We're going to move on, Vice President Harris.
President
Trump, this is now your third time running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they let Trump just plow through whatever the fuck he wanted to talk about, gave him almost unlimited time. But as soon as Harris was like, hey, he said a thing that I want to respond to, they're like, no, we got to move on. We got to move on. You're muted. Bye. On to Trump. He spoke 40% more than she did. 40 fucking percent. And they're saying that the moderators were favoring Trump because he got fact-checked 4 times.
Oh, boo-hoo, you got fact-checked, baby. Do you remember how often we'd see in the news that the Trump campaign was specifically wanting a debate without fact-checkers? Like, that was a prerequisite they were trying to push for.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a candidate are you if the thing you're trying to push for is no fact-checkers? Why do you need that?
The one who on the first day he was president, his press secretary said that, like, oh no, we're working with alternative facts here, or whatever the fuck she said.
Man, that just sounds like something from the Bush era. That he was the one who said alternative facts first in, like, major media shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was a fun one. This is more personal to me. So they wouldn't have to censor me. I9231 says, why does every atheist YouTube channel devolve into a left-wing political channel? I know this is hard for progressives to believe because they have black and white view of the world, but there are libertarian and conservative atheists too. Yeah, no, we know that you guys exist.
Mm-hmm.
We just recognize that reality has a left-leaning bias.
Also, if this were 6 years ago, he'd be complaining that those same channels moved to the right. Because that's what happened.
No.
8 years ago.
The people who moved to the right complained that all the atheists were on the left back then as well. It's the same song and dance. They just are less popular now than they were then. And it's the same ones too. Like there hasn't been a whole lot of turnover. Like it's still Sargon and Thunderfoot and all the guys that were relevant back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I say new atheists, I don't mean like the Dawkins, Dennett, Hitchens new atheists. I mean like atheists that have been on YouTube starting
the post TJ Kirk atheists.
Yeah.
The ones that they watched Amazing Atheist. And
even TJ Kirk has come around and become more left wing than he used to be.
He's become far more left wing than he used to be.
He's actually not as big of a piece of shit as he used to be. I'm not willing to endorse him and say he's actually good now. But
that's fair. I've only ever had one conversation with him, so I can't. And it was like, if you count like 2 or 3 sentences each, a conversation. So I don't have a whole lot of context outside of what he shows in his content. And what he shows in his content, I actually do enjoy now versus then.
Yeah.
However, I actually can speak to this personally, and I don't know if this is the same journey that you went through, Rhino, but as for me, the reason why my atheist channel devolved into a left-wing political channel was very simple. I covered the NIFB. And it wasn't just the NIFB, but organizations like the NIFB.
Siding with Sargon of Akkad is putting me on the same side of this issue as the NIFB. Should I reevaluate this?
Like,
and not in a genetic fallacy way where because it came from the NIFB it must be bad, but more if this is coming from the NIFB, I need to look at why it's coming from them. It
smells a certain way.
Yeah.
So for me, as I started covering more and more religious content, I noticed there were some commonalities in a lot of very popular religious content on YouTube. And that was that the conversations about whether or not God existed, the really philosophical ones, were not the ones I was getting as concerned about. The like philosophy part of my brain that was fixated on that loved that conversation. But more often than not, the people that looked like they mattered in these spaces were the ones who were using Christianity as a way to argue for anti-gay shit, anti-trans shit. These people would constantly be arguing against minority groups and using Christianity as their shield for that. They would hide behind it for their shield. So arguing as an atheist content creator against that Christian content inevitably meant I had to do more and more research and more fact checking, not about stuff that was or wasn't in the Bible, but about statistics about gay people and trans people and reading about gender. And I wanted to be thorough when I was doing my videos, so I would read up and figure out all of the ways that they were wrong in a certain thing that they said. And what I would find is I just ended up making more and more political content over time because that's what they were fucking talking about.
So if I could be real for a sec, one of the things that stopped me from becoming a right-wing YouTuber is very similar to how I ended up stopping religion. Is that, like, in Christianity, I noticed this one little tiny contradiction that, like, on its own wasn't really a problem. It had ways to solve it or whatever, but it was the first crack that had me looking and, like, had me considering that, like, maybe there are others. And once I noticed that there was one, being able to notice the others was fairly easy. And similarly, I was like, when I started my YouTube channel, I watched a lot of Sargon of Akkad, Bering, Amazing Atheist back when he was, even back then he was a bit much for me. So like I would watch him like once in a while.
It was mostly Thunderfoot for me.
Sure. Same idea. Like the people that were all complaining about Anita Sarkeesian for ages. But one of the things that all of them kept saying was that people on the left don't know how humor works. They can't do jokes. They can't take a joke. They can't do edgy humor or whatever.
The left can't meme, that kind of shit.
But I also, during this time, I also listened to god-awful movies. And so, like, while they're over here saying the left can't meme, these guys who are very clearly left-leaning were, like, making jokes about digging up Phyllis Schlafly's corpse and fucking it. Like, clearly there's edgy humor going on here that is fine on the left. And like, if you talk to the god-awful movie guys, they will tell you that they have grown since 2016 and they would probably not make the same Phyllis Schlafly jokes anymore. But like, they still do have like the edgier humor or whatever. But like, that was the cognitive dissonance. That was like, I have all these people on the right telling me that people on the left can't do funny things, but my favorite funny podcast is one where the guys are all very clearly left-leaning, and it's fucking hilarious. And yeah, that actually, I credit Eli Bosnick and his very, very edgy humor that he probably would not, like a lot of the jokes he probably would not repeat today. But like back in 2016, 2017, when this is what I was going through, he was doing the, like, like, clearly these guys are on the left and they're being edgy like you're saying they can't. So you're wrong about that. So what else are you wrong about? And that was like the crack in the door.
That makes perfect sense. Because like especially when you're the type of person who the only reason that they are right wing, because this happens a lot on like Chan boards, right? Where the only reason that certain people are right wing is they feel like that's where they can say the offensive things. They feel like that's where they can do the mean kid kind of Xbox 360 humor.
Ryan George just today released a video making fun of comedians who go right wing and start a podcast about how canceled they are and everything. And it's spot on, as most Ryan George things are.
Yeah. Randful in my chat points out that George Carlin was kind of edgy. I don't know. I'm like, George Carlin was very edgy, and he was also pretty far left.
Very left wing. Yeah. Absolutely.
I remember having an argument with one of my older friends who was right wing, and I don't know what his political alignment is right now because we lost touch. But I remember having the argument about Carlin, where he said that you couldn't be as edgy as George Carlin today, and that's the problem with the left. And I'm like, but George Carlin was the left, and yes, we can. We can be just as edgy. What?
Alex Merkel says the left wing invented humor, Rhino. The right wing are garbage imitators. So here's the thing. I would almost suggest that King of the Hill was written from a right-wing perspective, a very conservative perspective, and it still manages to be a funny show. And but that's because they actually have empathy for people that are on the left, and they present the more left-leaning side of things from a more realistic perspective, and they're not afraid of poking fun at themselves.
It's better than what you get with like Mr. Burgess, which is obviously trying to be a king of the hill.
It's trying to be king of the hill, but they don't understand the left wing, so they can't properly be a king of the hill because King of the Hill did. But King of the Hill, I would argue, is a very conservative show, but it's still fucking funny, and it's still good.
Well, and the big thing with King of the Hill, the thing that I do like about it is that the concession that is made by the show writers is that Hank Hill doesn't know everything. He doesn't always know what's right, and the world is moving past him, and most episodes are him learning how to catch up.
Yeah,
like that's like the best King of the Hill episodes, and I would argue 80%,
it's not just learning.
Of them is playing catch up.
So it's not just him learning how to catch up; it's him learning how to catch up without compromising his core values. And they do a phenomenal job with it. So, yeah. Anyway, Dale Partridge says, any man voting for Kamala is effeminate. He wants to be ruled by a woman. He wants babies to be unprotected. He wants feminism to progress. He wants government to care for him. This isn't a man being secure in his masculinity. This is a man abdicating his masculinity.
Let's see here. So point by point, do I want to be ruled by a woman? I don't want to really be ruled by anybody, but I'd be fine taking one for a president. So he wants babies to be unprotected. From what? from what?
He's talking about abortions. He's not meaning babies. He's meaning fetuses.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I don't need fetuses to be unprotected. I need them to be in shell caps for my shotgun.
I've been snipped, so the fetus ain't my problem.
Like, the next one is like, he wants feminism to progress. Well, yes, I would like it to progress. I mean, it depends on which ways it's progressing, but for the most part, I'm okay with that.
You know how I said yesterday was our anniversary of when we started dating?
Yeah.
And the kids, I think we talked about it on stream. I talked about how the kids married us or whatever. Yesterday was also one of the reasons, like, we actually forgot about our anniversary. This was a very last minute, like, oh, I'm at the store. I should buy some flowers or something, because we both forgot about it because we've been so busy recently. And one of the things we've been busy with is yesterday was also her first day of work. She's got her practicum placement, which is basically the therapy version of an internship. So she's not getting paid yet, but this is like the home stretch. And side note, I'm so fucking proud of her. She's worked so fucking hard for this. And I am absolutely ecstatic that she's finally getting to a place where she's actually working in the workforce and not just like studying the theory. And it's it's phenomenal being a partner who has seen her go through this process and finally starting to see some fruits from this. And I love it.
That's good.
It is. It's amazing. And so, like, I was actually disappointed in myself because I'm like, oh, this is my first day as a house husband because I work from home. So I'm like, I'm going to have dinner on the table right when she gets home at 5:30. But then one of my kids had a prescription that I had to pick up, and it took them like 20 minutes at the pharmacy. And like, so I had to like kill some time there while I was shopping with the other kids. And this is like, I only got home 5 minutes before you, so I'm sorry that dinner's not right on the table, but it's almost on the table, and our kids have decided that we're getting married now and are doing a ceremony, so yeah, it was fun. But yeah, no, I'm perfectly happy to be a house husband.
I read this, and the only thing I can think of now is just the fucking Vine. There's going to be 4 female Ghostbusters. Feminism is taking over. I'm an adult virgin.
If a woman being successful... If a woman being successful is a threat to your masculinity, then I hate to say it, but you're not masculine. Like, being secure in your masculinity, like, this isn't a man being secure in his masculinity. No, being secure in your, like, being competent at what you do, being secure in yourself and who you are. My partner, her finishing school and being successful and like actually having like finally working in this field that she's been studying for years to be able to work in, why would I feel bad about that in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I am excited.
What's wrong?
This is a career path that she chose because it's fulfilling to her, and because I'm her partner and I love her and I care about her, I am excited for her to have a fulfilling career. Why would I do anything to quash that?
Like, I do not know why I would not want women who live in the United States to be able to vote. I don't know why I wouldn't want them, should they choose to be in a career, to go down and have every single chance of success at a career as a man would. I don't know why I wouldn't want those things, because they're human beings just like me. The only difference between us is, well, there's quite a few of them. There's actually 5 different things that we look at in terms of differences for sex, and even more if we're talking about gender. So actually, it's complicated enough for me to say, yeah, they're the fucking same as me. I don't care. Just let them work. Let them vote. Let them do all the things. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Who cares?
Also, she's going to be a therapist. She's fucking, like, just from her personality and how she interacts with everybody at home, she's going to be a fucking amazing therapist. So, like, the world would be less without her as the therapist. So the fact that she's almost there is like, yeah, the world is going to be a better place when she is a therapist. Good. So why would I try and stop that? Why would I not be happy about that? Like, the only thing I'm not happy with, like, she works tomorrow. So, like, she's not going to be home spending time with me tomorrow. And I love spending time with her. Like, okay. But that's just part of life. You're not going to be able to spend every waking moment with each other. So, like, I want her to do something apart from me that makes her fulfilled. Why would I not want that?
Yep. And then want the government to care for them? Yes, actually. Yes, I would like that. And I have very good reasons for that. One of the reasons is taxes. If I have to pay taxes into a system, I feel like I should get something back from that system.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do a stream recently to earn, and it's still technically going on for other expenses, but the stream PayPal pool thing that I have going right now was for property taxes, because while the channel is on an upswing, well, it's kind of petered out now compared to where it was, where I was basically having to survive off of a credit card and only a credit card for like 8 months, which was not a good place to be in.
I feel like I feel like he won't mind me quoting him here, but as I forget whether it was John or Casey, but it was one of them, said to me that YouTube is a fickle bitch.
YouTube is a fickle bitch.
And 110%. YouTube is a fickle bitch. So I feel like they won't mind me quoting them on that.
So like, I also I did find the clip of it was Ali G telling Kent Hovind that he left a floater in his toilet and should have flushed it. I found the clip, sent it to you so you can watch it after the stream.
Hovind interviewed Ali G?
Yes.
Or vice versa?
And Ali G said, like, hey, you
I never really cared for Ali G, but I feel like I'll like that.
You will like it. You will absolutely enjoy it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, if if I'm having to pay property taxes and I want those property taxes to go to a good school to take care of my potential future kids, that's what I want. If I'm paying taxes on my channel's revenue, which I still have not done this year because I just don't have the money. But when I do, and like every year prior where I've paid those taxes as much as it has hurt, I would like something out of that, like say fucking medical care. That would be cool.
I get medical care out of my taxes.
That would be so neat. I would love that. God, imagine that. Could you imagine getting medical care after paying? They wanted me to pay $10,000 in taxes before I did all my deductions. It ended up being closer to like 2.5 or 3K after I did my deductions, but still, Jesus fuck.
Is it bad that I'm hearing that and being like, oh, that's so low? How cute. Because mine's around 30K a year.
Your taxes are?
Yeah. But I mean, I get health care.
Yeah, you get health care.
Although, to be fair, like I actually, it breaks it down. You can see what your healthcare costs are, and I've never paid more than $700 a year for healthcare for my family.
I'm actually fairly certain my earnings for this year, the ones that are tax eligible, was like 35,000. So when you're like, yeah, my taxes were 30, I'm like, yeah, that's like 90% of what I made.
Yeah, it's painful.
But I'm also not having to support a family off of it. I'm supporting me and my partner, and she makes a little bit of revenue as well by streaming, so it's not entirely just me. So my situation is different.
I can't wait till my partner becomes a fully fledged therapist, and I get to just be like she'll be my sugar mama.
Yeah.
But anyway, Elon Musk. Okay, this one's been circulating.
I wanted to cover this one later, so this is revenge. This is revenge for you.
Okay, sure. He says, "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." Creepy motherfucker. How fucking creepy is that? What makes him think that she would want him to give her a child? As if give her a child is anything more than, like, glorified masturbation from his mind. Like, think about the way he takes care of his children that he already has. I think he came once and then he wrote a check.
Like, the problem with this tweet for me isn't just how he would treat the potential child, but I recognize that's a perspective that comes from you being a parent. My problem is it's really weird for Elon Musk to go public and just talk about his sexual fantasies of wanting to breed Taylor Swift. That's the weird part to me.
Yeah, it's gross. It's just gross no matter how you slice it. He wrote that and then he sent tweet. Or no, sorry, it says post now. We all still call them tweets. Like, does he not have someone read over his shit first to make sure that it's not going to, like, be bad for his PR?
I don't think anybody reads over his tweets. I think he does what Trump does, where he goes and takes a poop.
People like Trump and Musk should not have unfiltered access to their own site. They should have, like, an aide that they email the thing that they're thinking of tweeting, and then the aide will either reword it or just scrap it to be not a PR nightmare. And you'd think, like, if I had billions and billions of dollars, I'd have someone, like, verify that all my stuff is not going to make me look like a piece of shit before it goes public.
The problem, though, Rhino, is that you are conscious of your public image. Elon Musk is arrogant enough to believe he has an unassailable public image. That's this is like when whenever somebody says, like, oh, if I were a billionaire, I would be one of the good billionaires, and it has to be pointed out to them every time. No, you wouldn't, because the prerequisites,
you wouldn't have been a billionaire.
Yeah, the prerequisites for you to become a billionaire would have been for you to not be a good person. So Elon Musk here, yeah, he has the money to do that, obviously, but the type of personality he has is one that precludes him to not think that that's necessary at all.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. Jordan Satchel says, Muir, every time Trump is killing it, I want to move on. Beg to differ, they let Trump talk whenever the fuck he wanted to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And when Harris tried to talk, it was, I want to move on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that your boy got fact checked 4 times.
It's less than he's been fact checked before. There was a CNN fact check on him during one of his I forget one of his events, and it was just like 35 or 40 different things he lied about.
Yeah.
Like, this is the lowest amount of fact checks he's gotten.
It is impossible to fact check him because literally everything he says is either a lie or misconstrued or decontextualized or something.
Yep. God, the part that got me so much about the debate, though, was how much he passed the buck onto other people. Not only just the
whiny baby.
Like, not only the JD Vance thing, right, where he passed the buck of that to him.
He spent the entire goddamn time just whining.
The amount of time where he said, like, oh, and all of the people at the college I went to, they all said this was genius. And, like, it's never your evaluation. It's always all of these other unnamed people who are saying your accolades, and you can't shut up about it. You're always talking about how much other people love you. You can never say, hey, I'm proud of what I did here. Like, you can't say something that small. It has to be magnified into, and the audience were clapping and half of them ejaculated everywhere. It was fantastic. Like, it's got to be that. You can't just accept that you did something good or bad. It always has to be this magnificent thing with a bunch of people responsible for it.
Everything is the best thing ever. Even if it's just some mundane thing where to say that it's the best thing ever would be utterly ridiculous. It's still the best thing ever. Like, his fucking, like, I'm the best president for black people since the United States was founded, even better than Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
No, he said he was better than Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, sorry.
It's like, I'm sorry. No, you're not better for black people than the guy who literally freed the slaves, you fucking jackass. Or the guy who signed into law the amendment that made black people people and let them vote. What have you done for black people as better than that? You haven't done shit.
Nope.
Although one of my favorite points in the debate was when they asked, I have the clip for that. Let's go back to the clips.
Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something, I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
Whatever she wants to be is okay with me. Bitch, she wants to be president.
Yeah, well, hey, look, her parents said she could be anything she wanted to be, so she's got to be president. That's how it works.
Yeah, she said she wants to be president. He said whatever she wants to be is okay with me, so Donald Trump endorsed Harris for president. There we go.
I guess so.
He was also, like, it's so funny to watch him try and backtrack from that without actually backtracking. Because, like, he did double down on, they're like, oh, but she said she wasn't black and this whole thing, and that came from her, it didn't come from me. But I'm just like, whatever she wants to be. It was like, no, if you were like whatever she wants to be, then you wouldn't have brought it up, you jackass.
Yeah.
This is you trying to cast shade on her.
He needs the dunk. He needs the dunk so bad because he needs the media to play the clip of the dunk so often because so many of them have forgotten the fist in the air thing. It happened so long ago as far as the media is concerned.
Now in my mind, that's just like the blood on his face is just from when he scratched his ear on the podium on the way down. Like, officially, I still believe that he did get shot in the ear. He got nicked in the ear by a bullet. But the way he said that, it made me think that he got nicked by the podium on the way down.
He maybe got shot, Rhino.
And
how dare you feel that when he probably got shot?
Oh, what a jackass. Okay, Dr. Naomi Wolf says, why do I feel like 40% of the population is already dead? I feel like she means dead inside because if they were actually dead, that would be a ridiculous statistic thing going on. But then Ron Souther says, I'm an airline pilot and usually say goodbye to the passengers. Most have no life in their eyes and half of them won't even look up to say goodbye. Vaccine damage? Bad economy? Stress from all the communism? All three? Okay.
Oy, oy, oy.
Speaking as someone who has recently flown, could it not just be that traveling is exhausting? And flying, because of all the bullshit they make you go through just to get on the goddamn plane, is more exhausting than other modes of travel. And so you're exhausted. And so when the pilot is like, have a good day, you don't feel like talking to him. So you're just like, eh.
So as somebody who's had to fly a lot in the last couple years, because of the Alaska trip and various other things, I'm going to be honest, I used to really like flying. I really don't like flying anymore. And it's not, I'm an airline pilot, usually say goodbye to the passengers. Most have no life in their eyes. Half of them won't even look up to say goodbye. Is it possibly just maybe the fact, like you said, that we've made flying suck? And it's not just the fact that we've made all of the process leading up to the plane. Being in the plane sucks now.
I say that flying sucks as someone who used to train to be a pilot and fucking loves flying the plane. If I'm in charge of the goddamn thing, it's amazing. But like, I can't do flying anymore. Like, and this isn't even just like, my partner will tell you how horrible I was when we were flying to Mexico with all the kids. Because like, I'm stressed out in that situation to begin with, and then you add 5 kids into the mix, that doesn't help. Mm-hmm. But like when we just flew ourselves to Colorado for a friend's wedding, like I was able to kind of keep it to myself, but like I don't do well in crowds. So like I can't go to Costco. Costco drives me nuts. There's just too many fucking people there. So I'm just like, nope, I'm just not going. If there's something we need from Costco, I will either go somewhere else and pay more for it, or you will go to Costco. And it's the same kind of thing with flying. And when we were on the plane to Colorado, one of the times I was like at a window seat, and our plane was delayed on the tarmac after we landed. And so like I was, and the people beside me were not getting up, so I was trapped there, and I was just like, it was like, I can't, it's just, and that's when I don't have 5 kids with me. And when you have 5 kids with me, where like 2 of them are young enough that like, they're like, no, I just want to go, I'm going to crawl over the seats to go up in front, because I want to get off the plane. I'm like, I want to get off the fucking plane too, but you sit your fucking ass down, you little shit. I'm like, nope, can't do that. They're just kids. They're just kids. I'm supposed to be in control of myself here. What the fuck is going on? No, flying fucking sucks. So yeah. If you think that people not making eye contact and saying goodbye to you is a sign of vaccine strategy, like, no, that's just that flying sucks because we've got all this security theater going on.
I don't think it's just the security theater. I think it goes even further.
Oh yeah, no, it's more than that. It's the airlines
experience.
Yeah,
the experience being on the plane is miserable. The experience leading up to it, even after you get past the security theater. So like Saki and I, we spent a lot of time stuck in the airport when all that was happening. So like our food was there, our sleep was there, everything was there. Everything is super expensive. It's a constant assailment of your senses. How much everybody's trying to sell you. Do you want a neck pillow for the road? Do you want this travel brochure? Do you want do you want this food that costs $30,000?
When we went to Mexico, I didn't realize that on an international flight, you actually had to like, in between planes, if you have a connection flight, you have to go pick up your checked baggage, move it over to another fucking conveyor belt, and just put it on that conveyor belt, because apparently the employees can't just read the tags and do that for you. You have to redo that because you're crossing a border all of a sudden. And then you have to go through customs, even though you're not in the country yet, which once you get there, you have to go through customs again. And like they tell you, when you're doing an international flight, you have to be there 3 hours beforehand. But the international portion of our flight was at the connection, and so they only gave us like an hour and a half to get from one plane to the other. But in that hour and a half, we had to collect our bags, put them, like recheck our bags, go through security again, get like, and is it like
Jesus?
It was such a fucking rush. But then like because we were on an international flight, we were 3 hours early for our flight, but that wasn't the international portion, so they weren't being all super duper strict about things. So like we got there and we were just sitting around with nothing to do for 2 hours. So you go from I have nothing to do and everybody is bored to hurry the fuck up, we have to go or we're gonna miss this plane and we're gonna end up like thousands of dollars in the hole because we missed our fucking plane. And it was, I fucking hate it.
It's a stressful environment because there's 12 billion moving parts.
And then you want me to be polite and say hi to the pilot? Like, no, okay, thanks for landing the plane and getting me there alive, but like, no, go away. I don't want to talk to you right now. So fuck off, Ron.
Ooh.
Donald J. Trump, I believe this is the last tweet. Yeah, we're back to Ben Shapiro. Says, in the world of boxing or UFC, when a fighter gets beaten or knocked out, they get up and scream, I demand a rematch! I demand a rematch! Well, it's no different with a debate. She was beaten badly last night. Every poll has us winning. In one case, 92-8. What the fuck poll is having him winning 92-8? So why would I do a rematch?
He's not going to link the poll, of course.
No, obviously not. Honestly, I'm surprised they're still neck and neck. Like, I don't know how it can possibly be neck and neck in this fucking thing. But, no. The
reason they're neck and neck is because they were only fighting for 8% of the vote here.
True.
There are Republicans that are going to vote red no matter what, even if they end up dead.
Yeah. So looking at the current polls on 538, which they aggregate all of the polls, and they've got there are two that ended today, which Harris is +3 over Trump in both of those polls. So that's not every poll having Trump winning. That is Harris is over Trump by 3%, which, yeah, that's probably within the margin for error for those polls, but he's still behind. But yeah, also with her demanding another debate, it's not the same as a rematch with a boxing thing. This is, when it comes to elections or whatever, it's my performance is going to help me win more votes. So if I am confident that my performance was successful, I want to do it again so I can win more votes. It's not the same as a boxing rematch where, like, oh, I lost that title, but there was some technicality or some bullshit went wrong where a rematch is in order and I need to have a second try at the thing that I lost. It is, I won a lot of votes and I feel like I can win more by doing this again. So, yeah. The fact that Trump is trying to spin it this way means that Trump knows he lost that debate.
Like, she knows she clowned on him, so she wants a follow-up. Like, Trump wanted a follow-up to the Biden debate because he knew that he could just trounce on it. It was the left that was very desperate for Biden to not get on the debate stage again. Now it's Trump who's desperate to not get on the debate stage because he did bad. He doesn't want to admit he did bad because all the best people tell him he didn't do bad. 92-8, he did wonderful, amazing, the best ever. But no, he did fucking horrible.
I don't know what the context for this was, but Fennec the Rabbit says, my phone is set up so that if your number isn't in my phone just doesn't ring. And that reminded me that every time Cirrus goes live on Twitch, my phone says, ooh woo.
Ooh woo.
Ah, that's the exact one that's on my phone, actually. And this is set up to go random, so that it was fun that worked out that way.
God damn it. Ooh woo. Ooh woo. Ooh woo. Ooh woo.
Ooh woo, small beans, little babies.
Ooh woo. So, yeah. I have lots of Cirrus Uwu recordings now.
Of course you do.
I do. I think that was the one that I made you say. Anyway.
I'm so tired now, just from that.
It is 20 after 11. We should get going. So, I will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me. And as always, Uwu fuck off.